Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to the 2020 Russian Cyber Games. We've got 2 weekends worth of top-end StarCraft action lined up for you. So without further ado, let the games commence. I'm Ziggy. I'm joined by Curiosity. We're hopefully going to have one more person joining us later today for the cast. And yeah, we're going to be bringing you coverage of this tournament. How you doing, mate? How you doing, Curiosity?
Pretty good. Got interrupted there by some cats. Hopefully it won't happen again.
Cat problems. Tell me about it. I don't have a cat myself, but I can imagine what it's like.
Don't want it to be on the stream, but they always interrupt. Very exciting games coming up. I'm going to start off with Group A. Dragon against Dewalt, and then Bakuryu against Casper. Both matches best of threes, and
yeah, we've got an incredibly stacked lineup for this tournament. Relatively balanced as well. We've got 5 Protoss players, 5 Terrans, 6 Zergs. So basically as balanced as it gets. And as you said, we're going to start with Group A today, with Dragon going up against Dewalt. We're going to then swap over to Bakuryu going up against Casper. We're then going to switch to Group B with Gosudark going up against Terran and Trutacz against eOnzErG. I believe we're going to have a quick intermission after that, and we're gonna wrap the groups up with the winners matches, the elimination matches, and the deciders as well. Do you have any favourites for today? Like any clear underdogs that you're not expecting to make it out to the
I think
finals?
In Group A, Dewalt clear favorite to advance, and then I could see any of the other 3 being the second place finisher in that group. And then in Group B, pretty confident one of Eon or Trutacz will finish first, and then it's going to be a battle for second place in that group.
Yeah, I would agree that Dewalt is the clear favourite to make it out of Group A. But after that, I think Dragon has got the best shot in making it out in second place. I mean, normally I wouldn't expect somebody like Bakuryu or Casper to make it into a tournament like this. Not because they're bad or anything, but, you know, I mean, there's only 16 slots in a tournament like this, and it's a super stacked lineup. So, you know, anything goes, to be honest, but I would say that Dragon has the best chance of making it out in second place. But still, you know, qualifying for a tournament like this is an achievement in itself. As we said, only 16 players able to compete for the prize pool of, what is it, 15,000? Is it 10,000? I think the price pool is at 11,500 right now, and we're shooting for 15,000.
Yeah, the goal is to get that 15,000, which will guarantee another RCG next year. But going back to Group A, I really think anyone can finish second in that group. I think Dragon's a strong player, but his weakest matchup by far is against Terran.
Yeah.
So if somehow we get that final match, I think it's going to be tough.
I think his weakness in PvC is that he often locks himself into a very specific style that is predictable. But hopefully he's only going to have to play, you know, he's going up against Dewalt. He's normally a Protoss player, but when he has to play against Protoss, he switches to Zerg. We'll see how he does there. But yeah, if we're shooting for Dragon making it out of second place, or making that in second place, then he definitely have a better shot if he were to play against Bakuryu.
True. I mean, it's possible they don't even match up, depending how the results go in the group. We could see different outcomes.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. But we're going to be starting with the first game here of Dragon going up against Dewalt. The first map of every match was actually randomized. It was drawn by Russ Brain's wife, I think. So we'll see what the first map of this particular match is going to be in just a second.
Dewalt was born 1994. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's pretty young for a Broodwall player. So let's see what the first map is. It's going to be match point. There we go. What a map to start things off on, eh?
This is one of my favorite maps. I actually think it's pretty balanced in all matchups. It can be a little bit difficult for Zerg if there's a map split scenario. Not that many bases. Mineral only thirds. Pretty good for Zerg as well. So what we usually see is a very aggressive mid game where both players trying to take control of that high ground near the third base. and usually that's the decider. The game usually ends at that point, and if not, then we get into a late game where the map is easily split, and that tends to favor Protoss.
Yeah, I don't think match point fits well into the current meta game from the Zerg perspective, because nowadays it's pretty much about macroing up to like 6 hatch and sitting comfortably on that amount of basis, specifically because of that high ground area around the mineral only third. But we'll see how it goes. I'm no expert in terms of ZVP, so I'm probably going to have to rely on your game knowledge here. As I say, I'm more of a Terran player. I'm looking forward to tomorrow because we're likely to have a TVT in Group C, I think, right? I think so. That's why.
But all in all, a good map to start off with, and I think it's gonna be a good match simply because both players are like macro-oriented players, and this is a macro-oriented map.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Right. So I think we're just about ready to jump into game number 1 here. Just got the confirmation from Zero, who's sitting behind the scenes. He's pulling the strings. He's the puppet master. He's telling us what to do. And he's told us that we're just about ready. So without further ado, let's jump straight into game number 1 here on match point, with Dragon spawning as the red Zerg in the top right-hand corner, hailing from Canada. And his opponent in the bottom left as the blue Protoss. He's the Russian player, Dewalt.
Dewalt, I think, is one of the clear favorites in this tournament. He recently finished second place in the BSL, losing only to Bonif in the finals. And Dragon, on the other hand, I think is a strong player, but should be a significant underdog, at least in this match. And it looks like we're going for a 9 pool from Dragon, already mixing things up, not going for that normal over pool. Now, because it's a 2-player map, I don't think Dragon's going to take that gas. Taking the gas with 9 pool is very all-in in this matchup. I mean, I guess against Terran too, but especially against Protoss. And because it's a 2-player map, Dewalt will just scout him immediately. Here he takes that gas, but let's see if he cancels it. Nope.
No, he's taking it.
All right, so bold opening from Dragon here.
Do you think this is going to trigger? Well, he's going to have to trigger the Forge from Dewalt. So no chance of that gateway opening that is so popular nowadays from Protoss players. There we go. We have that Forge thrown down. It's part of the wall in the natural.
Yeah, we're going to see several cannons here. 9 pool, you need to react severely, especially with speed. There's basically timing where he's going to need 2 cannons versus a 6 slings, but then he's going to need another one additionally, or at least a wall once that speed finishes up.
To be perfectly honest with you, because this is a 2-player map, I don't think Dragon's plan was to deal any damage with this opening, but to force the Dewalt into a certain playstyle. Because like nowadays, you often see Protoss players going for that gateway opening, and with a gateway opening, you get a lot more freedom in the early to mid game. But when you go for that Forge, when you have those cannons falls, you're kind of locked into defensive play for the first couple of minutes of the game. So this might be Dragon's way to like dictate the pace of this first match.
So a couple of things. Gateway expand on this map, not very common because of the large rush distance. But I think you are correct in that this isn't an all-in. This is just to kill a scout. We already see Dragon didn't make any more lings. He stayed on the initial 6. He killed that scout. Now we're going to see how he's going to follow us up.
Yeah, and it's going to be extremely difficult for Dewalt to find out what Dragon is doing here, right? Because he lost this first scout. Dragon, does he have speed on the way? Yeah, he does. It's about to finish. So he's absolutely not going to let Dewalt into his base. A little bit surprised that he's not sending a few links out across the map to at least try and intercept any probes coming out to the base. But it looks like, Dewalt is not even going to plan on doing that. He's just pulled a few probes to try and defend against any potential run bys.
I think Drag, because he didn't have the Overlord out immediately, he doesn't know if there's another probe already out on the map. That's why he's keeping everything back. And he's going for 2-hatch Slayer with this. So since the wall is blind, the Dewalt's going to have to prepare against all openings. He has to prepare against 3-hatch Hydra. He has to prepare against 2-hatch Lair, 2-hatch Hydra. He has to play very safe. That's why he has these probes blocking. And his wall, I saw, it looks like a 3-gap wall, which is decent. This Zealot will allow him to plug one of the gaps so he can start mining more. And his core is on the way. It's going to be very important for him to get that Corsair out.
Yeah. The Stargate play is really something that was forced out by Zergs when the 973 build came out, right? Well, maybe not the 973, but the 973-4 variation. That is like a fake bust. Because you need to get that Stargate out to get a Corsair to try and find out if your opponent is macroing or if he's just making those Hydras. And that's exactly what Dewalt is going to be doing here. He's going to be making that Stargate to get a scout out because he's completely in the dark right now.
And this is drop, and we have Dewalt making the core and the Stargate at the front. This is because he was allowed to skip that second pylon in his main. That's why he has this core at the natural. And he's making a third cannon because, again, he doesn't know what's coming up. His first information is going to be with the scout from the Corsair. And Drag only with the 1 gas. He's getting Hydras and he's getting dropped. So this is 2-hatch Hydra drop. This is a very committed play here.
This is possibly the best way to approach playing against somebody who's just better than you, as StarCraft. Just trying to do something, trying to pull the rug from under them, right? Doing something that they're not expecting and keeping your opponent in the dark is part of the plan here. Now, we do have a probe slipping past. No, Dragon notices. He's going to intercept that. But Dewalt confirms that there's no third base anywhere. Well, there might be one in the top left, or the 12 o'clock, but we're assuming he thinks that is not a likely location to put a hatch. And finally, we do have that first Corsair making it out of the Stargate. It's going to move across the map. He's going to see a few Hydras moving towards the base of the Protoss player, but he hasn't scouted the Overlords yet. So it doesn't seem like he's suspecting anything just yet.
Yeah, and this is slow Overlord drop. This is very fast. And Dewalt's with the Corsair, he's scouting. I think he's going to check the other bases he hasn't confirmed yet. And here comes the attack. There's a Corsair retreating. He's going to spot it. He sees the first Overlord. He should bring back that second Corsair immediately. He's pulling the probes. He needs to get on top of these units as they drop out, kill as many as possible. But looks like the Lings drop first. Kill those probes. Those Zealots are arriving now.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way Dewalt holds his main base. Does he have any cannons currently being built? I think there's one. Right? Yeah, only one cannon being built. Now, the Lings do get mown down by the probe, so there's only a few Hydras remaining. So he's actually handling this better than I thought he would.
That probe reaction was instant, and it was very effective. Once the Zealots arrived, it was very easy for him to actually defend. I would like to see if there's speed as well on these Overlords being researched now.
Wow, keeping those Corsairs was paramount there to prevent those drops from constantly coming into his main base. And now it looks like the probes have to be pulled again to try and defend against the Hydras. Now, luckily, there's one more Corsair showing up, but it's not going to out DPS the Hydras, and this is going to hurt.
Now, the probes are actually getting a ton of damage done. They do need that Zelda alive so they can stay alive long enough. It looks like he's just barely holding on, and Dragon loses yet another couple Overlords, and now he can't drop. He's supply blocked, and every second that Dewalt has is giving him more time to make more units, prepare himself better. So this is still very close. This could go either way. It depends on how fast Drag can reinforce his position. Dewalt already has 3 Zealots, and what's really helping him out is that he's just on top of the drop location.
Yeah, the Hydras are bagging out a little bit, not being exactly in range to attack the units of the Protoss player. He's only just about to get his range upgrade, so that's going to help, but it might be a little too late. Now, he does have a few more Overlords coming in to try and reinforce this drop, and he still has plenty of Hydras there, so maybe there's still a chance. If he goes towards the south, now he's just going to try and... Okay.
Yeah, these cannons are going to catch Dragon off guard, and...
It's not going to work. Well, I mean,
you really want to target the cannons first. but it's already too many units for Dewalt. He's getting extra gateways up, and he's just gonna outproduce Dragon any moment now. He doesn't even really need more probes, and there's a GG.
Perhaps what I have is not as important as what I can offer you in exchange for coming all this way.
How long does this last?
What if I could offer you something you don't know you want?
Okay. Well, unfortunate control there for Dragon. I think he had an opportunity there, but the probe use was very effective. And by the time he lost those 2 overlords, he couldn't drop immediately. I think it was over. Nice defense by Dewalt.
Yeah, the plan was sound, but he bowled his control up a little bit. I think he still had a chance to continue that assault when he sniped those 2 Corsairs. But unfortunately, it felt like he was banging his head against the wall. He could have gone south a little bit more, where there was, like the cannons when being built or whatever. But he just, there's still a chance he makes it out of this match as the victor. But it doesn't bode well for his chances, because again, the plan was there. It's just the execution.
Yeah, I think it was a very good plan, but it came down to just a couple moments. I think first those first 8 Lings and 4 Hydras got cleaned up right away by just the 1 Zealot and some probes, and then the Corsair number grew enough that he was able to kill the Overlords as they dropped. And even though he was able to drop, he wasn't able to reinforce.
I was a bit surprised with how well the initial drop was held off just by pure probes. I guess probes are pretty good, eh?
I think the fact that probes they have somewhat of a range attack. They can get a surround nicely. Like SCVs wouldn't be able to do that. I mean, SCVs would defend it much easier because they're bulkier, but the attack for SCVs is different. They really have to be right up to the unit they're hitting. Probes have somewhat range. They got nice surface area, and the wall was actually able to hold off, but nice plan from Dragon.
Do you know what the second map is? I think it's loser's pick, right? After the first map is randomized.
So Dragon is going to get his choice of map.
He's chosen Polypoint.
Here we go. We have Polypoint. Now this map is a very strong map for defensive play in this matchup. Every base is either on a ramp or some kind of high ground that leads into it. So lurker positionings with sunken supports, ores, and then for Protoss as well, cannons, just 1 High Templar and some Zealots, makes every base pretty hard to attack. The easiest base to attack is that mineral only, but even that is on a high ground where you can position cannons and static defenses. So it's a pretty hard map for a big attack to be executed.
Yeah, but again, do you want to be playing a macro game against Dewalt and you know that he's favored in that situation?
Probably not, but I think every player is going to be confident in themselves.
Yeah, I guess. But if you are going to play macro, then this is the map to do it on. So I'm expecting something like a regular 6 hatch opening from Dragon into a cushy transition into late game. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, let's go right into this second match between Dragon and Dewalt.
And spawning as the blue Protoss in the top left, in the top right, it is Dewalt. And his opponent, as the red Zerg in the bottom right, is Dragon.
All right, so we have Dragon getting that Overlord scout immediately. It's pretty... you always want to scout the closest natural. So Dragon's going to get that scout, and it might come into play right away depending if Dewalt does go for gate expand, which is pretty common on this map. It's not a terrible map for it. But I definitely expect Dragon to do something more standard this time after his plan in game 1 failed.
Dewalt once again going in the right direction to scout his opponent. But yeah, this is a map where I think Dewalt might go for that gateway opening because it's just a bit more standard in PvZ nowadays. Now it's obviously going to depend on whether Dragon's going to go for that 9 pull. I think it's going to be 10 hatch, 12 hatch, something like that.
Okay, so already with the Pylon Scout, when you go gateway expand, you always scout after the gateway. But because the Dewalt Pylon scouted, it's going to mean Forge. And he scouts Dragon first. Dragon was going to go for that hatchery first play, and he's being forced into a very awkward 12 pull. And this is already suboptimal because there's a reason why no one goes 12 pull in ZVP, because overpull gets the Lings out faster. It also gets the hatchery at the natural faster. And against 12 pull, Protoss can play extremely greedy. You can see Dewalt actually going Nexus first, and this is perfectly fine against 12 pull.
Yeah, I think this is the best thing you can get as a Protoss, right? In terms of openings. Getting that Nexus first, throwing down a Forge.
Yeah, and basically it's ideal scenario for Dewalt already. You're forcing Zerg to adapt their plan and using the information you obtain with the immediate scout to get away with as greedy a build as you can.
To be perfectly honest with you, I think this is the most difficult matchup to understand in terms of openings. It's like the smallest change in the early game makes up for the biggest difference later on down the road. And this is a great example of how that comes into play.
This is already
Nexus first.
Yeah. The wall, delaying this hatch's wall. You might even get this drone.
No way.
Drone goes down. This is already a disaster for Dragon. These Lings are out, but as long as the cannons start when the Lings pop, Dewalt will have plenty of time to get those cannons up in time. It is 6 Lings, so he's going to need those 2 cannons. And it's not anymore. Dragon is not going to follow us up with more aggression. And this probe is still alive. He might even pylon.
It's 20 more minerals. Just about.
Oh, this is so annoying.
That's going to sting. This is when I would be tapping out. This is when the computer's going out the window.
And Dragon didn't go all the way. He's actually retreating with his Lings. And we see he's going to follow us up with gasless play. So it's not as painful to have his natural blocked. He's just going to get a 4th hatch. But this is very bad. To be forced out of whatever he was going to do on this map, it's already out the window.
Yeah, it's going to sting. Well, what are the options for Dragon right now? Does he just macro up? Does he try and go for, like, I don't know, some kind of Hydra bust?
I think his best bet is just to drone up. He already has that 4th hatch. He's probably going to go 5 hatch gas and then not go layered, no fast layer. And he's trying to, like, the wall already has this information. He sees the 4th hatch.
Oh yeah, you're right. There's a 4th hatch in the natural. Didn't see that. So I guess, yeah, any Hydra bust is off the table, at least for the time being.
We have enough minerals for a 5th hatch. Probably going to see that at the 3rd base. This will be for some kind of SimCity later in case there's an attack with Zealots. There's the 5th hatch, and we should see the gases being made now. Right away, Dragon is going to need to tech up. He's going to need a way to deal with Corsairs if that's what Dewalt chooses to do. Of course, Dewalt, seeing that it's 4 hatch, can opt to skip Stargate, knowing that there's no way Dragon's going to have the Spire. Not very common to go 4 hatch and then gold layer.
Has he confirmed that there's a 5th hatch at the 3rd, or not quite?
Not quite yet, but it's pretty normal to go like this. Is Zerg usually opens with 3 hatch layer, but if they don't do that and they're not going for some kind of attack with 3 hatch, then 5 hatch is the most common.
All right. So
what's the timing for the 6th
hatch then? Oh, there's no defense at the 3rd, and there's 2 zealots showing up. There's like absolutely not a single stunk. The things are showing up now, but it might be a little too late. The probe makes it into the main base to confirm what Dragon is doing.
So a couple things went wrong there for Drag. One, he doesn't have a spotting unit outside of Dewalt's base to see movement. And two, because he pulled all his lings to defend, it just allowed the probe to waltz right in. And while Dewalt hasn't accomplished any economic damage, he did force a drone pull, and now he's just... Is that another drone kill? How many kills does this probe have?
It might be. Yeah, it's got 2 kills. Rough. I mean, so what are the victory conditions for Dragon here? Is there any way to recover? Because there's 3 more zealots making it across the map, and I don't think Dragon knows about it. There's no static D at the third. There's no static D in the natural. There's a few Hydras popping, but guess what? Zealots are pretty good against Hydras.
Yeah, without upgrades, these Hydras are really going to struggle to deal with these zealots. On top of that, there's a Corsair that's going to come in soon. And again, the probe, 3 kills on this probe. Dragon is just getting pulled apart. Really lacking here in the multitask.
4 kills on. He's just wiping the floor with his opponent at this point. More and more units showing up in the natural. Names are hard, like struggling to defend against 3 zealots. This is painful to watch, to be perfectly honest with you, mate.
We were at 35.
How's the probe doing?
Looks like the probe has been cleaned up. We were at 35 drones and 7 went down, and it wasn't to only zealots. Looks like Dragon is finally going to be able to establish himself and defend, but only after losing a significant amount of economy. And the wall is falling up his build cleanly. We're at 730s at 44 probes. We should see a gateway explosion pretty soon.
Yeah, I think he's got 5 up already.
Yeah, already 6 gateways up, and he's going to follow us up with a fast speed lot attack. It's not even going to need Templars here. He knows Dragon is in a weak spot right now. Dragon's going to have to make drones, not units. And here comes Dewalt.
Yeah, extremely clean and crisp gameplay from Dewalt, transitioning from one stage of the game to the next one without any difficulty. And once again, those zealots slipped past.
Yeah, we see the lings arriving now, but Dewalt's already out on the map. Dragon has no idea.
Yeah, exactly. Another overlord is going to get sniped with the Corsairs, and there's hardly any defense in the natural. There's like 5 Hydras against, what, 8? Even more than that, zealots. They've got speed.
This might just do it. The Hydras only now are going to have speed. Just not enough units. We see Dragon made a ton of drones here, but Dewalt taking advantage of that opportunity and immediately attacking. And with the Corsair support, overlords are dying, and there's just not enough units here.
Yeah, Dewalt jumping on top of his opponent. He's doing so much damage right now. More and more zealots showing up to reinforce the attack, and Dragon taps out, and that's going to be it. Dewalt is going to take game number 1 over Dragon with a clean
game number 2.
I mean,
we already have our first.
Yeah, match 1.
Yeah.
With a 2-0 score. Very clean and crisp.
No, that was a demolition. Dragon looked like he didn't belong in that match. Dewalt really stomped him there.
I mean, it just goes to show how good of a player Dewalt is. He's like literally one of the best players we've had on the foreign scene over the past, I don't know, 5-6 years, something like that. And Dragon himself is no slouch. But you can see the difference in skill.
I mean, one probe did so much damage in that game. It blocked the natural hatch, killed a drone. It re-scouted, killed 3 more drones. It was too much for Dragon. And I guess the biggest difference between these 2 players is their ability to multitask, because Dragon really looks slow in that game. Dewalt did so much with so few units. Not something you should expect to happen every game, but he was able to accomplish it. And he won pretty easily, I would say.
So we are going to be jumping into game 2 in just a moment here. It's going to be a ZVT between Bakuryu and Casper. But we'll see how that goes. And I wouldn't want to be going up against Dewalt in the winners match right now. After seeing that, I would definitely be shaking in my boots.
Yeah, it's going to be another best of 3, and winner goes up against Dewalt. Loser will go up against Dragon. And I actually think you still want to win this match no matter what, obviously. But Dragon in the losers match is not someone you look forward to playing against.
Yeah, definitely. But he is going to be playing his main race from now, right? Protoss, because he only picks Zerg against Protoss. So there might be, you know, something there. But who
from
do
what
you
I've
expect to win this next game? Is it going to be Bakuryu or Casper? Because to be perfectly honest, as I said, I wouldn't expect either of these guys to normally make it into a tournament like this. But somehow they did have really good qualifier runs. And, you know, they are the underdogs, but they've shown that they're capable of winning against the big boys.
Dragon, or I should say Casper. I think Casper is pretty strong against Zerg. Bakuryu, I think against Terran is his worst matchup. It's going to be tough for Bakuryu, but it could still go either way. And then Dragon actually didn't qualify. He only got in because one of the qualifiers from NA managed or left the tournament. I think it was tie 2.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Still, I mean, it's Dragon.
Yeah, I know. But I think in this match, I'm going to go slight favorite for Casper. And I like how he plays TVZ. He really mixes it up.
Well, one sure way to throw Casper off is to cheese him in the early game. Because if there's one thing to be said, is that he tends to have a weak mindset. And when you cheese him in the early game, you can quite easily throw him off. So, you know, there might be something there for Bakuryu to consider. So we're going to jump into the map draw for the second game. Once again, the first map of every match was randomized, was drawn by Ross Brain's wife. So we'll see which map these two will get to play on first. It's going to be Fighting Spirit. As
Fighting
standard
Spirit.
as it gets.
Everyone's favorite map. I mean, this map has been played so many times in so many tournaments. Everyone knows their way around this map.
Yeah, this is the map you start your one-on-one adventure on, right?
It used
to
to be
into Starcraft. This is the map to learn.
It used to be Python. Think about that. But now it's this map, and it really fits in better in like this more modernized era where the third base is easily accessible, easily to defend as well. Naturals aren't super open on Fighting Spirit. You can get some nice walls here.
Yeah, you can get a really a relatively easy transition to the mid game with that third base that is relatively easy to take. I would say to be honest, I would say that it favors Zerg a little bit in this matchup because you get that third, and as Zerg, if you get the third gas, that really propels you forward much more than it does, you know, a Terran in ZVT. So we'll see if that comes into play. But I think we're just about ready to jump to this first map of Casper versus Bakuryu.
Oh, let's see.
All right. So spawning as the ochre or olive Terran in the top right hand corner, it's Casper, aka Grimeboss. And his opponent in the bottom left as the green Zerg. It's possibly the worst color combination we could have hoped for. He's Bakuryu. Right. So we get to choose between green versus green or yellow versus yellow. Unfortunately, they didn't host on top versus bottom. If this were the STPL, they'd be getting penalty points right now. Where's Kicks? Somebody call Kicks.
All right, so we have cross map spawns on Fighting Spirit, and cross map Zerg is gonna struggle to get that overlord over the naturals. It's gonna be very important. He scouts with early Zerglings, just having something in front of Terran to see any kind of move out. And then it's all gonna come up to whether Casper goes mech or bio. I really don't know. I've seen him do both.
Yeah, he's got a diverse, play set. So both are, on the table. Both options are on the table. I don't know. It feels like bio is a bit more standard nowadays. You don't see that two factory Goliath opening all too often anymore.
All right, Baku going for that 12 hatch, very standard. This is like Zerg doesn't go 12 hatch, they're doing something strange. Now, is it going to be 2 hatch or 3 hatch? Now, Bakuryu, for a very long time, only went 3 hatch Muta, and that was basically the only build he did, no matter what. Really stays in his ways. If you watch his stream, he only does 1 build per matchup, and he's very comfortable doing it, and he just feels like that's the correct way to play.
But let's see. I think 3 hatch Muta has fallen out of favor recently. 2 hatch is just better. I don't know. The Muta's come out faster, and that in itself gives you a bit of an advantage over the Terran, because you're forcing them to make those turrets a bit earlier. And I don't know. It feels like 2 hatch Muta is a bit better than 3 hatch, and this is like the sentiment that a lot of Terrans share, from what I've heard.
But Bakuryu is gonna go for 3 hatch, and we see Casper did something very risky, and I think he's doing it because he's up against Bakuryu. He went for a command center right away blindly before that second depot, and to do this, you basically are saying, okay, Zerg is only gonna go 12 hatch, so I'm gonna get this command center up. Because this is against Nightpool, this is an auto cancel on the natural, and you're possibly just outright dead.
Yeah, he's playing a super greedy game. He still hasn't confirmed his opponent's spawning location. He's only just now about to see that Bakuryu went for 12 hatch.
And we see the gas was added from Casper, and he's gonna get in, see the 3 hatch, see that it was 12 hatch, and he's gonna feel pretty happy with how things turned out. And looks like, no, it's not gonna be a mech follow-up, it's just gonna be +1 5 racks.
Yeah, but I feel like +1 5 racks is better against 2 hatch than it is against 3 hatch. Though I don't play bio all too often.
It's basically impossible to do +1 5 racks against 2 hatch, because you get your, like, it's important to have your marine upgrades against 2 hatch. You want your range and stim as quickly as possible, and if you go +1 5 racks, you're delaying that even further.
Well, the 5th racks was initially a response to the 2 hatch, I think, if I recall correctly, because like Zerg got just so good with their micro that Terrans went, right, we are going to end up losing marine, so we need that 5th barracks. Either way, but I don't know, maybe you're right. Again, I don't play bio all too often.
Casper is making a bunker. He's just playing safe. He's only on the 1 barracks production, so he doesn't want to risk dying to a lot of things. And here we see the academy and the extra barracks being added. Again, Bakuryu is going to need, you can see this Overlord is slowly getting over here, but in the meantime, he's going to need something at the front. Don't want a repeat of last game where we saw Dragon not scout the front and then take a significant amount of damage to very little amount of units. But Bakuryu is prepared for that.
Well, Bakuryu has to play like a stock standard 3 hatch right now, whereas Casper can just go, greedy, because he knows what his opponent is doing, and Bakuryu hasn't had the option, or hasn't had the chance to confirm that this is going to be a +1 5 racks. And those, we'll see those turrets start to go up at around 6 minutes, because the mutas pop at 6:30, because it's cross spawns. It might be a bit later as well. Yeah, playing a super greedy game, getting all those essential buildings up.
Whoa, we have 6 barracks.
Right.
Right, so this means Casper is going to stay in the mid game a lot longer, and his objective here is really just to delay the 3rd, or deny the 3rd, I should say. And a Zerg without a 3rd gas is really going to struggle against Terran.
I think he might actually just try and break his opponent with his 6 barracks. Skip upgrades, skip factories and going up to SK Terran. He might just try and break his opponent with those 6 barracks. Because you can still delay your opponent's 3rd with 5 rags. With how greedily he's playing, he could still delay the 3rd, just playing standard +1 5 rags without that 6 barracks, and still transition into your own, SK Terran. But with the 6 barracks, I think he might actually try and break his natural ASAP.
And we have the first move out here. I'm curious to see how many turrets he actually makes, because he's going to have so many Marines. He's going to be able to put the pressure on nonstop. You see the drone heading towards the 3rd.
640 and he's only made one turret around his production. This is so greedy. I mean, Bakuryu knows that he can't really move across the map because there's those Marines right now heading towards his natural.
Yeah, this is the moment where Bakuryu really wants that vision. You can see the Overlord slightly out of position here, not scouting the bridge, not seeing the move out. Muta's flying over some of the Marines.
Well, this is going to come back to bite him because, I mean, he's only got one turret in the natural and it's placed quite awkwardly. You don't really put it there normally.
Yeah, you want the turrets in the mineral line, not behind them where they can easily be picked off like that one just was.
Yeah. He's going to come back to bite him now. He's not controlling those mutas particularly well. He's lost 2 already when there was hardly any Marines in the natural, but he's still doing decent damage to his opponent to get back in that harassment with the mutas.
But the goal with the mutas is to buy enough time to get that third up safely and securely, and where we see the bio that was out on the map just went to kill this base, and now Bakuryu is going to have a tough time establishing that third. He's probably going to have to take another main. He's already transitioning into lurkers. This wasn't a very heavy commitment into mutas. Only the initial 9 were made.
Do we have factory up from Casper or not yet? Yeah, he's building it. Alright.
6 mutas still alive. Again, the turret placement suspect behind the mineral line. Easy to pick off even with such a low number of mutas.
Well, additionally, it's really difficult to get the Marines to reinforce, or at least repel the mutas when those turrets get in the way.
It's also pretty hard to repair them with SCVs, which is something that usually comes into play. Caster scanning the 9 o'clock. He's looking for that third base. He knows Bakuryu desperately trying to get that up. There's an SCV at bottom right. He's finally going to scout it. And he's actually going to kill. We're seeing a lot of drones die to workers, tragically.
Do you think Bakuryu can just keep playing a macro game now that he still hasn't established his third, or does he need to go for some kind of bust with the lurkers, or I don't know, rush defilos on 2 bases? Because I mean, it's getting really late.
It's getting really late. We see his gas count is very, very low, and he's gonna want to get lurkers, hive, and then defilers all on 2 gas. He's even getting the upgrade, the +1 carrot base. And this is very early to get it. You want to prioritize getting hive instead of this upgrade, and especially because he's still only on 2 gas, he's just really gonna be starving for that gas. The hatchery's only gonna go down now. Normally you'd already be mining from that gas, and it's really showing right now. And behind this, Casper just teching all the way up. He actually has, even with the 6 barracks, which you'd expect would be delaying his tech quite severely, he already has the science facility on the way.
Yeah, 2 starports are done, so we are transitioning into standard SK Terran from the Terran player. Probably going to start seeing him move out a little bit more aggressively now that he's got this tech all locked in.
All in all, surprisingly, Casper just played standard and he gained an advantage from 1 Marine move out where he was able to kill that third. He's getting +2 already, and these mutas shouldn't be able to accomplish much. And the problem is now Casper is going to have all kinds of control at this point. He's going full into SK. He's going to have nice upgrades, very nice economy with 54 SCVs. Probably should stop making SCVs at this point if he's only going to be on 2 base for a while.
Yeah, he's really quite far ahead right now. Casper is in terms of tech. Bakuryu is only just now finishing his third. Doesn't have his 4th either. You know, defilers are quite a long way away as well. And the first science vessels are out on the map. And this is when we're going to start seeing Casper be a little bit more aggressive with his bio belt.
Some kind of muta link counter here was being prepped, but Casper well prepared for that. Unfortunately, he didn't have Scourge with that, because he could have easily sniped those vessels that were far out and forward. And if you can snipe the vessels, that's your comeback mechanic as Zerg. You can keep your defilers as long out and alive as long as possible, and it becomes very hard for Terran to bust. But where we see the first 2 irradiate go off right on these lurkers, there's no Nidus here yet, and this is going to be very close if Bakuryu can defend this.
Yeah, there's no more Hydras, no more lurkers up that ramp, so this base is as good as dead He's not even going to try and defend it. He's going to try and actually intercept the rest of the army of the Terran player in the middle of the map. That's a lot of lurkers going to Barrow as Can comes down, but it's just too much Zerg to handle. But as I said, the third is as good as dead.
Yeah, but Terran is very happy to make this exchange. You're killing the third yet again. Zerg is locked on 2 gas. I wonder if Bakuryu should have just gone for the much easier to defend 9 o'clock. Much easier to reinforce as well. Now he's in a position where, again, he's trying to take another main as a third, but it's already failed him twice. Then it's very hard to defend against ground attacks, as we just saw, if there's enough vessels, and drops can come into play.
Yeah, the third gas is possibly the most important thing in a ZVT. And normally you do want to get in another main, at least on a map like this, because then the Terran has to choose whether to go towards the natural or towards that third, and then you can quite easily intercept or go for a counter attack, as opposed to having all your bases in like a cluster in one corner of the map. But as you said, it might have been a bit more sensible from Bakuryu to have gone for that 9 o'clock third instead. We've got a few irradiates coming down. That's a lot of lurkers. I don't think Casper is going to try and break this position, because again, he doesn't need to. His opponent is only on 2 gases. He himself has got what, +2 attack, +1 armor on those marines. He's got science vessels. He's got everything he needs. That needs to watch out for the Scourge.
Another vessel snipe. That's like, again, the only way I could see Bakuryu, I mean, he does have nice upgrades, already has 2 carapace, but what he's lacking in production is really what's going to hold him back. He doesn't have that third base gas. Casper is actually already with a 3rd command center floating over, I think, or constructing. He's even making the 4th. He's just in a very comfortable position where he has entire map control. He knows Zerg is on a very low economy. Look how aggressive he is being with these vessels as well.
Yeah, you can't really afford to mass produce lurkers and defilers at this point. So Casper's way to break this is to just go for dropships, and that's what he started doing. He's got a few waiting in the natural. He's probably going to reinforce this attack and then try and drop in the main or at the third. There's a lot of lurkers still protecting that ramp that we can now see on the screen. I've got a little bit of a counter attack coming out from Bakuryu, but it's going to be held off quite easily. That's just a few measly mutas and lings.
You can see how Casper's positioning all his units. He's limiting Bakuryu's movement. He has some outside his net, some outside his third, and this is basically how you want to play it. Make sure the counter attack options are eliminated with this aggressive positioning like this. We even have a drop at top left, and this is what I was talking about. It's hard to defend on just ground alone, but when you mix in drops, it suddenly becomes much, much harder for Zerg with this far away third.
Yeah, Casper is just about maxed out at this point. So this is when you either start trading or transition into mech whilst trading. So even throwing away units at this point, as long as you're getting something in return, is the right way to go for the Terran player.
Yeah, he has enough vessels.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
He has enough vessels to just keep irradiating, and then once the lurker number is reduced, then he can come in with the bio. And we see he even got vessel upgrade energy. They're at 250. This is not a very common upgrade, but it does mean that they spawn with more energy. You get that first irradiate out faster. Same as Protoss with Storm. Basically, all energy units work like this.
Well, I mean, they're locked in a bit of a stalemate right now because Bakuryu has to keep making lurkers and Casper keeps sniping them whilst expanding. And this all comes down to the fact that this third gas was so late for Bakuryu. It's really one of the most important things you can get in a ZVT. And there we go, we have that massive drop into the, well, maybe not massive, it's only one drop ship. But we do have an attack in the main base, a lot of drones getting mown down by the Marines. And hardly any Zerg units in place to defend.
Yeah, normally Zerg at this point is fighting for the 4th base, not the 3rd. So they have a little bit more in the ways of defense. We see Casper running in, goes instantly for that Nidus, and now it's impossible to defend this base. And again, Bakuryu's 3rd is going to go down.
Yeah, it's painful to watch. Casper getting so far ahead right now. He's still sitting pretty much maxed out, 192 supply out of 200. He's absolutely caked up beyond belief. Look at that, 2,200 minerals, 600 gas. He's got the whole map pretty much locked down.
He's got bio groups everywhere on the map. He's got this vessel count. Well, actually, Bakuryu, one thing he's done well is he's been able to reduce the vessel count over and over again. It's only allowing him to live longer. It's not like he's going to be able to win from this position. Basically impossible. You put the best Zerg in this game to play from here, and no way they would win.
Yeah, I think he's just digesting the loss. He's down to 27 drones right now. So there's hardly any real way to come back into this game. So we're just waiting for Bakuryu to tap out, because as much as I would want to hype it up, I don't see a way out for the Zerg. He's down to 2 bases. The third in the top left is still somehow standing, but there's hardly anything there. There we go. The Dark Swarm is going to dissipate, and the Hatchery's going to get sniped down as well.
I think that'll do it, but Bakuryu's a fighter known for his late GG timings.
Channeling the spirit of fantasy. He's going to make Casper work for his wins. But there we go, Bakuryu taps out of game number 1, and fighting spirit is going to go the way of Casper. So again, we do have a loser's pick format here, so we're just about to find out what map Bakuryu's chosen for game number 2. Do you have any picks? What do you think he's gone for?
I have no idea.
I'm thinking
Eclipse?
Yeah, it's a really good zone map. Because again, it comes down to that third, and it's really easy to take a third on Eclipse when you're Zerg. Pretty much unassailable. It's got like a very narrow ramp. It's really hard to do anything as Terran to that third. And when you get the third, and the third gas, you then get a really easy fourth and a really easy fourth gas. And that's where you want to be as Zerg, right?
Yeah. Could be Eclipse. You're right. I doubt it's gonna be match point. That's a map where the third gas is impossible to take with 3 hatch muta. You really want 2 hats to keep your mutas out on the map to give you map control, and it just goes against what Bakuryu likes to do. So I'm gonna rule out match point right away.
Do you think he's gonna stick to his game plan of going for a 3 hatch muta again?
He does the same thing every single match. I would not be surprised at all. All right, so we have Grimeboss, Casper, pretty cool picture. Bakuryu got into this tournament, finishing 4th in that qualifier for Europe. So very strong result, and it's circuit breaker.
A bit surprised, to be honest.
I would have
thought he would have chosen a slightly smaller map with an easier to take third. Now we'll see. So we're just about ready to jump into game number 2 here between Casper and Bakuryu. There we go. Spawning as the purple Terran in the bottom left-hand corner of Circuit Breaker. Currently up 1-0. He's Casper, aka Grimeboss. And his opponent, once again, choosing a perfectly sound color combination. Going for that dark blue Zerg in the top left. He's Bakuryu.
So Circuit Breaker, this plays a little bit differently than Fighting Spirit, but he's still gonna want to take that top right other main as his third. But with the options of maps, I'm surprised he actually chose this map. This is a very strong Terran map in both matchups. But yeah, maybe he's just playing for comfort. This is probably the second most played map behind Fighting Spirit. Maybe Neo Sulfate has replaced it, but it's still just a map everyone's played a ton.
Yeah, I would agree. Now the spawning locations are pretty good for Bakuryu, all things considered, because he's going to have easier access to the natural mineral line of his opponent if he wants to harass. And again, if I were Bakuryu, I would be going for that 2-hatch muta because it just feels a little bit stronger in the current meta game. You get those mutas out a little bit quicker, and as a result, your opponent can't move out as quickly as you would want to. And again, you might get a bit more map control thanks to those mutas. Maybe get that third up a little bit easier than you would, playing 3-hatch muta.
We see him going for 12-hatch again. Same drone scout timing. He's gonna get to Casper's natural with his overlord, which always helps. Last game he was cross map, much harder to do that. It also means that his third is gonna be cross map from Casper, which makes it just easier for Zerg when you don't spawn cross map from Terran. And we see Casper doing something similar. He's already sending that SCV out. Is this gonna be a command center or is it gonna be a scout?
Looks like he's going to scout his opponent. He knows where Bakuryu has spawned based on the timing of that overlord. So,
Bakuryu is very eager to enter this main. This is super risky. Is he going to be able to retreat if he keeps going in?
well, he's just about to turn around.
I don't think he knows Casper is here because he's still scouting.
Yeah.
He should know now with that second SCV going to the natural. And now he's going to have to move this overlord quickly as he can to avoid it getting sniped. And again, 3-hatch from Bakuryu, not surprising at all.
Once again, Casper has managed to confirm what his opponent is doing, so he's going to play a greedy game, I would expect. And now he's switched things up a little bit. He's made those few Marines a little bit quicker than last time. But again, I would expect him to go for a very greedy bio play from now on.
It's going to come down to what Casper chooses to do, but it looks like he's just going to go for the same thing again. It worked well enough the first game. Why not do it again?
Do you think we're going to see that 6th barracks added as well?
It could be. He doesn't have quite the same economy. The command center was made a little bit different, a little bit later after the second depot this time around, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, he's made a lot more Marines than he did last time as well. Now, he does have the SCV in the main base of his opponent still. He's now going to confirm the timing of the lair.
If he can keep this SCV alive, it'll allow him to skip making a bunker. He probably wants a depot at the front to act as some kind of blockade in case there's a Ling follow-up attack.
Yeah, as long as we've got that SCV on the other side of the map, you can basically skip the bunker. That's exactly what Casper is doing. So again, we've got the timing locked down. The mutas are probably going to pop at around 6:30. That's the standard timing for 3-hatch.
They are closer spawns this time around. Vertical spawns on CBE are the closest rush distance, not only via ground, but more importantly here via air. So Casper will need those turrets up faster.
But knowing that Casper went for, he basically skipped making static deep last time, right? He built hardly any turrets, 2 or 3 in total. So knowing that, when you're Bakuryu, do you want to be a bit more aggressive when you know that your opponent's playing a greedy game?
Yes, I think he probably, especially because of how close the rush distance is, he probably is going to make Sunkens and not more mutas so he can be more aggressive with them. Have them out on the map, harassing Casper's natural. He did that last game, but what happened last game is that he lost his third because of that. So I think he's going to want to focus on getting his third up this time.
Yeah, you're probably right. See, I think the problem here is that when your mutas are out, that's when the Terran player already has enough Marines to counter them. And when you're playing 2-hatch, the Terran has to skip something in their build to properly respond to the muta threat. And this way you get a little bit more map control with your build choice. I think it's Casper is just about ready to move out with his first, little unit of Marines and medics, and the Spire isn't even done yet.
Right, so this is a little bit strange because against +1 fire racks, you don't need Sunkens before the mutas are out. So I think something went wrong with Bakuryu's build that he's making these Sunkens pre-muta. He's even making lings now, and he's not going to be able to make his mutas on time. Like, he's really overreacting to this bio push out. It is 8 Marines. They're stimming. There's only the 1 sunken. They can just ignore this. 2 more sunkens finished, and he's going to have lings, so he should be able to defend this pretty easily. But just being forced to make these lings and not mutas is really going to hurt Bakuryu here.
Yeah, something that Zero was pointing out was that something definitely went wrong with the build there, because Bakuryu was floating 1,000 minerals and 1,000 gas at one point. He didn't have any lava to make his mutas, even though the Spire hadn't finished. And I mean, he's still at 800 minerals, 400 gas. So there's something off on Bakuryu's macro side.
All right, so we have the 5+1 5 racks. Bakuryu's going to take his third now, and while it might seem catastrophic that Casper lost all that bio, it's not too bad, because only now are the mutas coming out, about a minute later than you'd expect. It's because he made all those links to defend.
Yeah, definitely. But again, Casper has got enough units to defend against the muta threat. He's got plenty of turrets in place this time, so he's not going to make the same mistake he made on the first map, which was Fighting Spirit.
He's going to try to catch these units at the bridge, but he doesn't have enough lings or mutas to do this. He's able to kill off about half the Marine group, but he doesn't want to lose any mutas here. He's already lost 2.
He does manage to clear out the army. I mean, as long as he keeps Casper on his side of the map, he's going to be fine, because he's got a third base being built, right? I mean, ideally you don't want to be losing mutas, because they're quite expensive, and they only work when you've got a lot of them in a control group. But still, it's not tragic to lose a few here and there when you're keeping the Terran in check. But to be honest, does Casper really care? Because his build is on point, right? He's got his factory almost complete. He's adding more barracks.
Judith is sub a Gosu for 7 months.
Are going to come down relatively soon as well.
Yeah, he did lose 2 bio groups, which is already making it look like a completely different game. But for example, when you make those mutas in 3-hatch, you already have the third setup. So not only were his mutas delayed, his third was also delayed. We saw the drones only head out there after the bio was cleaned up. That is not the normal timing. And again, we have the muta ling.
Oh, the muta's getting sniped by the Marines. He lost like 3 in that engagement. A bit sloppy there from Bakuryu. But at least his third is safe, right? He's got those lurkers morphing. It doesn't seem like Casper is going to try and assault that location. Lurkers in natural are just about to finish as well.
Yeah, this is a very close timing. Bakuryu still needs to buy time here. The Marines, if they can stim, here they go. They're stimming, they're attacking the Sunkens. The lurkers aren't done. These Sunkens will go down quickly. And without any support, these lurkers might be... Nope. Looks like just barely Bakuryu holds.
Yeah, living on a razor's edge here is Bakuryu. But he's still alive.
Yeah, this is a much better scenario, obviously, for him. He already has the third. He has lurkers there. Should see a Nidus soon. And the vessels are going to come out now, but he already has hives, so everything looking much better this time around for Bakuryu.
Yeah, definitely. He's got a third in place. He's going to look to take his fourth as well at the natural in the top right relatively soon as well, I would imagine. So the question is, what does Casper want to do? Does he want to keep trying to brave the natural? There's only 3 lurkers there, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to try and jump on top of those lurkers, but thinks better of it.
Yeah, I think with better control, I think he could actually break, because they already have the +1 armor. That means the lurkers are 3-shotting, not 2-shotting Marines. But it looks like no, he's just gonna pivot. Might take a third actually. What's that at the front? Okay, I thought it was a nice, very risky. Still no Nidus placement from Bakuryu. This is a little bit risky, because 1 drop can kill the top right now. And he's making lings at top right instead of drones. You want to saturate that third. Finally there we see the Nidus. And now it's 5 lurkers. And they do have, this is one thing I noticed, Bakuryu likes to get +1 carapace up quickly. It does delay your hive, but it makes your units a lot beefier against Terran. Like, lurkers have base 1 armor, so getting +1 makes them have base 2 or 2 total armor. Very important upgrade.
So it looks like the third is all locked down for the Zerg player. The lurkers are stacked on the ramp. A few Scourge waiting for any drops. Shoot they come.
Lurker stacking, very cute. So it means that when Casper wants to irradiate, he can only irradiate one at a time. Just Zerg really, in this matchup, they just buy time for as long as possible, and they have a lot of tricks up their sleeve, like the lurker stack. You can even put overlords on top of lurkers. You could also just buy time by doing double swarms. Makes it really awkward for Terran to see what's on their swarm.
Yeah, so the Nidus is just finished. The first Defiler is going to show up at the third. Going to cast that Dark Swarm. Casper is transitioning to his own late game scenario here, with the third being built in the bottom right as he keeps up the pressure on the other side of the map. Now, it's crucial to notice that Bakuryu hasn't gone for a fourth just yet, and this is the time you want to do it. I don't think he's going to be able to break down this ramp just yet, so this might be something to consider when you're the Terran player, knowing that your opponent is going to have trouble coming down that ramp. He's going to try now, but he's got a very limited number of Dark Swarms to place down. The Defiler goes down due to an irradiate, and that's what I was talking about. He's not going to be able to break down that ramp just yet. Well, maybe
another Defiler here to reinforce, and he should eventually be able to set this up. But a couple of things to notice is, look at that timing on these extra hatcheries. You do this once your third is saturated, and because his Nidus was so late, the saturation at this third base is very low, and everything's just a little bit slower than you'd expect. We have a plague being set up. Oh, it whiffs! Ooh. A whiff of a plague. Casper was preparing for that. He did pre-split some of his units, but not even one Marine got plagued there. And we see two eBays, neither upgrading, so he's really going to want to focus on getting those upgrades, because for now, Terran has complete map control, but that switches when Zerg gets that fourth gas. If they could get ultras, Bakuryu has been staying on top of his upgrades. But
oh no, the fourth is actually going to get broken. The ramp to the third, likewise.
Yeah, just when it was looking good, Swarm runs out, and all of a sudden Bakuryu doesn't have any units to defend. He's getting up the ramp. Should target that Nidus right away. So he's going to try to avoid the lurker fight, but this is already really bad. This is basically a drop that got in now. And even if he has Swarm and lurkers, Marines can maneuver around. And this is just very annoying for Zerg. Zerg doesn't want to have to deal with this kind of stuff right now. They want to be consolidated. They want to be secure.
Yeah, these things don't normally happen when you say that fourth as the Zerg. And see, we had a period where we could check the macro of the Terran player, and he was transitioning to dropships. As we can see, we've got a few out, because when you're the Terran, you know that you're not likely to break the Zerg at this point without dropships. But unfortunately, something went wrong there for Bakuryu. He loses that fourth, he loses the third as well. The lurkers might get sniped as well. Well, it doesn't seem like it, but still, this is critical damage being dealt to the Zerg player, to the point where I don't think he's going to be able to recover. Especially considering Casper has a third of his own in the bottom right. He's now transitioning into mech as well. Maybe a bit prematurely. He's only at about 150 supply. He's got 3 bases. Still, he's pretty much got this game locked down, as his opponent is currently only macroing up of 2 bases. There's hardly anything going on with that or at the third in the top right. He's going to try and break this once again. Not going to be able to do this just yet, as the things do come in to try and save the day.
Yeah, but look at these Marines. With that armor upgrade, they're able to take a ton of hits. And it really doesn't matter. Like, Casper can throw all these units away. The fact that he killed the third gas is basically all he needed to do to win this game. Bakuryu's really going to struggle to keep up now. His Defiler usage has been good, but just getting caught out of position a couple times in this matchup is the end of the game, basically, for Zerg.
Yeah, there's a few timings you need to lock down. There's a few things you need to lock down as the Zerg. The third gas being the most crucial one, I would say. And definitely losing it this late into the game is going to come back to bite him. I mean, he's only down to 2 gases. There's a few irradiates coming down. The Marines are going to come in to try and clear out these lurkers. There's hardly any Defilers out on the map to try and lock down that location. It looks like Casper is taking it slow. not wanting to throw this game away. He knows he's ahead, right? You've got to know you're ahead when you're the turn player in these positions.
Yeah, if you can slow down the third is one thing, but to kill it outright, Zerg is struggling here. We have Marines filtering in. I'm not sure if this was from the dropship, a 2 Marine drop, but already this is doing a ton of damage. The third is under threat as well, and this unit's outside of Bakuryu's natural. So Bakuryu's just pinned here, full defensive, and he can't even defend that well against this non-stop aggression from Casper.
Yeah, he's being spread too thin. Now the first vultures and the tanks are going to come out, try and lock down these positions. He's planting mines everywhere to try and prevent these links from running out and causing havoc on the other side of the map. Another defiler is going to get sniped by an irradiate. And this is just slowly Bakuryu bleeding to death. Now it looks like there was a bit of a drop in the natural, or is that just a SCV transfer?
Now the vultures coming in. Vultures can just ignore the lurkers and...
Oh!
Defiler kill. Nope, looks like just barely able to swarm in time. But now the mines as well, and when Zerg is on such low economy, mines become like way more effective. We do have Bakuryu finally getting that 4th setup, but if you just look at the position on the map, Casper has 5 bases. Bakuryu's just holding on by a thread here.
Yeah, I mean, it might seem like the Zerg still has a chance in this game because he's got 4 bases, but it just takes a while to kill your opponent in Starcraft 1, especially in these positions because of Dark Swarm and lurkers and whatnot. So it might take a while for Casper to close this one out, but I don't really see a way for Bakuryu to come back into this game.
Now he does have a very strong economy if he can get set up. Like he needs a minute to get set up, but Casper just keeps on harassing and attacking.
Oh, nice snipe on the dropship.
Like the supplies are a little bit deceptive here because vultures cost 2 supply, and vultures aren't that effective against Zerg at this point. The mines do a lot of damage, but the vultures themselves, you can see without upgrades, they just get cleaned up by even lings. But the fact that they're able to harass, kill drones, and lay mines are they're still valuable units here.
Yep. But again, Casper is just cornering his opponent off with these mech units whilst taking his whole side of the map.
Yeah, he's taking a 6th base here as well. Again, the mech is not that powerful currently, still no upgrades on it, but the pressure is non-stop, and there's enough bio here that you can just waltz forward. And if there's ever a moment where there's no swarm, okay, finally we see the first ultra. Now this might allow Bakuryu to establish himself. Zerg just wants some breathing room here.
The entire Terran force have been cleared out from the top right. Now there's a few reinforcements coming in the shape of vultures and tanks, but I mean Casper just needs to keep the pressure on, right? Because he's absolutely minted right now. Look at that, 200, well, nearly maxed out, 176 out of 200. Still keeping the pressure on in the natural. Like compare the minerals in Bakuryu's natural with the ones in Casper's. Like he's been harassing that location constantly with the drops to the point where Bakuryu hasn't had a chance to properly mine those locations.
All right, finally we have some upgrades for the mech. You can see 5 add-ons at bottom right. So this is just a ton of production from Casper. He has 7 barracks in his main, plus the 5 factories. His unit control hasn't been like super great, but it doesn't matter when you have this much production, this much of an economic advantage. And as the tank number grows, this becomes more and more suffocating for Bakuryu. Ultras without swarm, without speed, they're able to get up to the tanks, but they're just gonna get cleaned up. And these are very expensive units to be throwing away.
Yep. I don't think you even want to break out as Bakuryu right now. You just want to macro up on what you've got, but it looks like it's not going to be enough for the Zerg player. He's going to try and break out one last time, but it doesn't work, and Bakuryu taps out. So we've got another 2-0 on our hands here as Casper is going to advance to that winners match, where he's going to meet Dewalt for his spot in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, Casper played well there. really just kept Bakuryu pinned both games. Bakuryu didn't have too many options and just got overwhelmed in the late game.
Yeah, definitely. Well, again, I think it comes down to map control and the fact that 3-hatch doesn't have the same map control as 2-hatch. At least from my perspective, my experience, and what I've heard from talking to other Terran players. But no matter, that does it for the opening matches of Group A for us. Dewalt beating Dragon with a 2-0. Likewise, Grimeboss beating Bakuryu with a 2-0. They're going to meet in the winners match. Well, Dragon and Bakuryu are going to fight it out.
Now, if I'm correct, we're just going to jump right into the opening matches of Group B.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to swap over to Group B with the opening matches, and then we're going to close out both groups later on when Doc Holiday joins us, hopefully, for the cast.
Yeah, so Group B, we have Gosudark and Terran, and Trutacz and eOnzErG. So very, very stacked group. We have probably, last year's second place finisher in Terran, and then perennial contenders Trutacz and eOnzErG in this group. So one of these is not going to advance out of this group, possibly even two, depending on how it goes. So very, very tough group.
Yeah, Trutacz did take third place last year at RCG, but he did have a bit of a lackluster performance in the BSL that has just concluded, right? I think he got eliminated in the round of 16, which is not something you would expect out of Trutacz. I'm definitely rooting for him because he's a Polish player, and so showing a bit of Polish pride there. So you're going to have to balance things out in the other direction when we cast. But yeah, it's really difficult to call any favorites in this group.
I think eOnzErG possibly is just like the slightest ahead above Trutacz and Terran, but again, any of these three could win the group. And then I think Gosudark just a little bit behind. He did manage to qualify in that wildcard qualifier, and he played very well there.
Yeah, eOnzErG had a really good BSL run, if I recall correctly, right?
Yes. Third place, and he had a very good shot of getting into the finals. He was up 2-0. Then he was down 3-2, and he had this game on Sylphid against Bonif. And it was just one of those games where Bonif just keeps playing. Bonif is losing the entire time. He keeps playing, and somehow manages a way to win. A very, very sad loss if you're watching from eOn's perspective, but a very, very well-played game from Bonif. But yeah, third place, not something to be sad about. That was a very good result for eOnzErG.
Right, well, I think we're just about ready to jump into game number 1 here between Gosudark and Terran, right? Because that's the one we'll be starting with. I'm gonna have a quick look at the bracket as well, as I'm being told by producer Zero, sitting behind the scenes. So yeah, as we said, Gosudark going up against Terra in a TVP, or a PVT I should say, and then a ZVZ to close out the opening matches of groups A and B.
I'm gonna say these are gonna be very quick matches, just from the fact that it's ZVZ and the fact that it's Gosudark playing. He has a very, I guess, unique style PVT where really surprising to see him take more than one base.
Yeah, he's got a really unorthodox approach to every single matchup. Often plays things that you wouldn't expect out of anyone, right? You wouldn't expect these things to work, and yet somehow he manages to pull things, weird things off.
Here I have Gosudark. And let's see what map we get. It's going to be a random map for the first match.
All right, we're going to Sylphid for game number 1 between Gosudark and Terra. It's possibly the most standard map we've had in the Afrika era, right?
Yeah, this quickly became one of the most played maps in the foreign scene and Korean scene, just because it leads to very dynamic games. It's pretty well balanced. There's no ramp, which you would think would be pretty bad early game for Terran, but Terran manages to find a way on every map. And It's just a very fun map because you have options for your third base. Depending on the matchup, you could take one of, I don't know, 2 or 3 third bases as your third. And let's go into the first game.
Spawning as the blue Protoss in the 12 o'clock, he is Gosudark. And his opponent at the age...
To underscore creative he is Subagosu for 11 months.
Magenta.
PogChamp RSL Hype PogChamp ZZZero1 ZZZero1.
Alright, so these two have played a ton before, and I'm pretty sure Terra is familiar with Gosudark's style of play, and like the options Gosudark has are a ton of very aggressive, like it's either going to be some kind of DT opening, some kind of bust, some kind of fast 3-gauge Dragoon. Like you really don't know where you're up against when you face Gosudark. So scouting is going to be very important.
Yeah, Gosudark is known for being super aggressive, and this is something I would expect out of him any given day. When you play in a TVP, you often need to cut corners to stay safe, and the more options there are, the bigger the chance of the Terran like guessing wrong and cutting the wrong thing in the build order. So we'll see if that comes into play. I would expect something relatively standard out of Terra though, like a siege expand with a super quick eBay to stay safe into maybe a 6-fact. Or just regular, 2-1 macro.
Okay, so we're seeing Terra go for 10 barracks, 10 gas, so he's the one that's going to be doing something very aggressive here. And now this is going to get him a really, really fast factory. He's going to be able to put on a lot of pressure. It's also good to do this because you get your barracks up faster, and it's just all around good for getting a very quick attack and allowing him to have some flexibility with his defense. But this, you don't see this that often because you're cutting a ton of economy to get your barracks and gas this fast.
Yeah, the fake double is not as common nowadays. If I were playing against Gosudark, I think I would favor something like a straight up 2-fat if you want to be aggressive. Because, I don't think that the fake double is as strong as it used to be. I think it was I think he placed his supply depot down at 9 supply, whereas the 10-10-10 variant used to be a little bit more common. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, as you're saying, that this is an aggressive opening from the Terran player. We'll see if it pays off.
Yeah, he takes off gas because he needs that extra mineral income, but he's going to put SCVs back on gas eventually. And he's scouting here. He sees the 1 gateway. He's going to leave because the Dragoon's going to pop out soon. But then he wants to get a re-scout with this SCV.
Yeah, this is actually a good response if you're expecting DTs. Because if you're expecting DTs but you're not exactly sure, because what you do here normally is you get 2 tanks and you get mines and then start pumping out vultures as well. And this way, if your opponent is going for DTs, you get those mines that kind of deter any DT aggression. And if he's not, you've got a relatively decent attack that has the potential to deal damage.
That Dragoon shot missed. There's a chance range attack just miss even without terrain coming into effect.
I think it's like 1 in 256 chance or something like that.
Yeah, but when you're Protoss, it's probably like 1 in 3. You feel like with Dragoons. Now he's retreating. He's sending out another SCV. He really wants to confirm the natural nexus. But everything looking standard from Gosudark, at least for now. Terra has a ton of Marines. He wants to hide the fact that he has these extra Marines. 3 Marines easily beat a rangeless Dragoons. And Gosudark sees 3 Marines, but doesn't get any more information. So nice play there by Terra.
Yeah, getting 3 Marines is standard. So if you're going for any aggressive opening, as Terra is doing, you kind of want to hide anything beyond those 3 Marines for as long as you possibly can. And we're going to have the first tank come out right now. Oh, he's actually switching straight into vultures after 1 tank.
Yeah, so this is just a slightly faster FD. But Gosudark didn't go robo, he went second gateway right away. So you should be in a better position to hold this off. But this is a very fast attack.
Yeah, that
Terra
second
gets in.
gateway is a little bit late. He's going to have to pull those pros to try and maybe help. Oh, actually, he's got 3 Dragoons, so he should be fine. Well, that's a bit of an overreaction, to be honest, I think. I mean, that's just 1 tank and a few Marines.
Vulture comes out, and if he can get these mines close enough.
Being a little bit too hesitant to engage with those Dragoons, I think he should have met this army like halfway across the map. Because, I mean, they're both playing from Peru, right? So there's hardly any lag coming into play here. He's lost quite a lot of probes in this attack.
Yeah.
12
Even if he
probes,
doesn't
maybe.
kill anything, any of these units, already damaging the economy this much is job well done by Terra. He's already expanding behind this.
No.
Oh, huge mine there. And I think this game might just end right now. One of those Dragoons is very low on health. The other one is already in the yellow. And Terra, with the non-stop reinforcement of the Vultures, planting the mines more aggressively. And if remember, Gosudark doesn't have a robo here.
Yeah, TVP doesn't normally end like this. Normally, you actually have to contend with these Dragoons like halfway across the map as they're picking off Marines. But for some reason, Gosudark didn't try to slow this push down at all. And he's paying for it. He's actually going to GG and leave game number 1.
Connection's still very laggy, but he told us this one never lags.
Are you sure? He asked not to use that as well.
He asked many things. Come on, I've already set up Op Studio. No problems here. Why can't I set up today's date?
November 29, 2020? Who cares? Just leave as is.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me there, but it was definitely something unexpected in game number 1. You don't normally see a pros just lose to a fake double, especially with just 1 tank.
Yeah, I expected a quick game, but that's not how I expected it to go.
Yeah. Well, he's still got a shot. So it's just game number 1. That's why we play best of 3s. You know, sometimes these things happen. Your opponent pulls the rug from under you and fall apart completely. But Gosudark still has a chance. Now remember, the first map of every game is actually randomized. So he might not have been ready to play, Terra on Sylphid. He's now going to have a chance to pick his own map as his loser's pick. So I think we're just about ready to find out what map he's picked for this second game.
Gosudark, I think this time around, just gonna go for the most aggressive and cheesy build imaginable. Game 1, he tried to go for a normal game and did not go well.
I think it was just like an error in execution, because normally those Dragoons should be across the map trying to harass those Marines, trying to slow down the Terran. But here, he tried to defend in his own natural, and he was still hesitant to engage the Terran, even in his own natural with a probes pull. And this is really the kind of indecision you want to avoid when you're the Protoss player.
I mean, one thing to note is that the attack hits a little bit faster, but he had Dragoons with range. He shouldn't be struggling that much against just 1 tank. The Marines are really what you want to eliminate by engaging the attack mid-map.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you slow these things down. And it looks like Gosudark has chosen Polypoint for game number 2 here, so possibly the biggest map we have in the pool, or at least.
And look at the last note on the plenty of potential proxy locations, and that's probably why this map was chosen.
Yeah, definitely something. It might have been a contributing factor in the decision to pick Polypoint as game number 2. And I think we're just about ready to jump into this game, as I'm being told. So without further ado, let's load it up. Spawning as the magenta or pinkish Terran in the bottom right hand corner, he is Terra, currently up 1-0 in this series against his opponent in the top left. As we switch colors to red and blue, who's the red Protoss Gosudark.
All right, guys, give me 1 second. Sorry, just 1 second.
Probably being harassed by his cats again. Right, so I've been left on my own. And this is something I was hoping to avoid having to do. Talking about the Starcraft on my own. Poly Point is possibly, as I said, the biggest map we have in the pool currently, if I'm not mistaken. And they they spawn diagonally across from one another. So the rush distance between the bases is or the furthest you can hope for, at least as the Terran player. Because again, I would think Terran would play a standard TVP when going up against Gosudark, because again, Gosudark is kind of infamous for going for these aggressive, cheesy plays. You know, DTs here and there, Reaver drops and whatnot, like 6-gate speed zealots, as if he were White Rat playing a PvZ, right? And we're actually going to have a forward gateway being put down in the natural of the Protoss player.
I'm back.
I think Zero's gone. No, he's back. I thought he fainted.
All right, here we go. Looks like forward gateway from Gosudark. So something aggressive, but not as aggressive. I was expecting a proxy gateway at least. And Terror not getting that gas right away. Looks like it's going to be Raxless expand.
I mean, gasless expand.
Oh yeah. Gasless expand.
Yeah.
And we have the gas already for Gosudark. This isn't going to be a ton of zealots, probably just 2, and then transition into Dragoons.
I mean, the threat of this is kind of diminished, because he doesn't want to have his gas stolen. That's a bit of a mistake. You don't want to let Gosudark do this.
Alright, so even when you go for gasless expand, you still want to get that gas up, because the command center isn't going to finish in time for you to take your natural gas and mine from it. It's going to delay his tech a little bit further, and delaying your tech against Gosudark is really going to put you in a bind.
Now, we do have a Zealot getting close to the base of the Terran player. Does he have any SCVs blocking the ramp? Or no, not quite. He's got that one. Oh yeah, as Zero is pointing out, there is still no cybercore being put down by the Protoss player.
So Gosudark just going Nexus. 1 Zealot into Nexus and
2 Zealots. He's got another one coming across.
2 Zealot into Nexus. Normally you go 2 Zealots into Dragoons, but because Terror is going to have this bunker, I think he's just pivoted away from going core and Dragoons. But this does mean that he's just going to be behind economically, and he's not going to be able to punish the fact that Terror is going to have delayed tech. Like, what's the purpose of this gas deal if it's not to abuse the bunker with Dragoons with range? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think this actually makes some sense, because when you steal or when you get your gas stolen, you kind of expect these Dragoons to show up, right? So this might be Gosudark saying, all right, you are going to go into those tanks with siege ASAP, so I'm just going to take advantage of that by going for a super quick Nexus and skipping my command center skipping my cybercore for as long as possible.
Okay, look at this eBay timing, even before the factory. This is Terror playing so safe.
Yeah. Well, there's really nothing else he can do with this money, right? Because he's got a surplus of minerals that he can't really spend on anything. He's only just now gotten his gases up and running.
Yeah, actually has already both gases up, but this is... I wonder what he's going to do this for.
He's actually not mining from the second one. So, again, maybe he just had that, surplus of minerals that he didn't really know what to do with. And there we have that first factory being put down, a safety turret in the natural also going to go up to try and defend against any potential DTs that we, as the observers, don't know that aren't coming. As Gosudark is going to switch into Dragoons with range. He's got a second gateway also completed in his main. So it looks like the Protoss is just looking to macro up a little bit here, as the Terran is left guessing as to what his opponent is doing.
No third base from Gosudark, and as a rule of thumb, you want to be ahead on bases against Terran. And when Terran goes for the gasless expand, they have a faster natural command center. Protoss wants to abuse that by taking a third right away, and we don't see a third anywhere in sight from Gosudark.
But it looks like, Terra knows that there is no third base. So again, this is where the mind games come in. When you know that your opponent should have a third, then you're left guessing, what is he doing, right? If there is no third, I'm going to play a super defensive game. So this might actually be playing into Gosudark's favor, as he's actually going to add more gateways to his macro cycle.
Right, so going up to 4 gateways on just 2 Nexus, not very normal. This indicates to me that there's going to be a bust attempt. He does have those zealots remaining from the early aggression. I wouldn't be surprised if this were some kind of delayed bulldog here.
Yeah, this is something he likes to do. As I said, those gateway heavy attacks that you wouldn't expect. Does he have a citadel? He doesn't have a citadel, yeah, does he?
Terra does have the second gas mine now, and he has units in his main. He's expecting some kind of look. He's very prepared here.
Yeah.
He senses something. I mean, the attack isn't incoming, but there's the first scan going off. He scans, I think, 2 of the gateways. He knows Gosudark's on 3, but more importantly, he doesn't see a third Nexus anywhere.
Yeah, it's a relatively straightforward game for Terra right now. When he sees that there is no third Nexus anywhere, he just needs to batten down the hatches and get ready for whatever Gosudark wants to throw at him. So this is, I would be considering adding more turrets around my base, right, just to stay safe in case there is some kind of drop coming in to the main or the natural. But I don't know, Terra's a better player, so maybe this is the right amount of turrets to have at this stage of the game.
He has a ton of tanks already. He has the armory. I mean, this isn't full perimeter coverage, but this is very, very well covered. The natural, there's no way for a shuttle to get in without getting shot. The observer is going to have a tough time to get in as well. We're only on 3 factories currently. I thought maybe this is going to be some kind of 5 or 6 fact. Vulture upgrades are getting researched now from both add-ons.
I don't think you want to go for a 5 or 6 fact at this stage. You might want to go up to 4. I think that's what you do when there's no third. You go up to 4 factories and then get your own third as the Terran player. Because there's really no point in attacking if your opponent is trying to attack you, right? And 4 factories is the right amount to defend against anything that your opponent might want to throw at you.
Alright, so Gosudark only now taking that third base, but again, very delayed third base. And looks like Terra is not going to go for any kind of timing right away. He's getting a starport, so he's going to follow us up with more upgrades. And I think this is the right play. You just stay on 2 base. If your opponent stays on 2 base, that's favorable for Terran.
How far along is his +1? Could we check that for Terra? Does he have an armory? Oh, he's only just now adding his armories. Oh yeah, he's got one. Right.
So this is 2 base 2-1, and I think this is like the ideal response to Protoss that's delaying their expansions. They're not going to be able to attack if Terran is just well fortified like Terra is, and Terra is following this up with a build that scales well into the late game by getting those upgrades. And Gosudark looks like just going to be a delayed 2 base arbiter, and he's taking his third now.
Yeah, but you need to consider that when you're the Terran player, you're naturally going to take the mineral only third. Most likely, that's the base you're going to be aiming for. And when you do that, it's in open space. So you kind of need to have a lot more units than Terra does currently. And that 4th factory might have been the right call to make. But we'll see. It doesn't seem like Gosudark is looking to apply any pressure to his opponent just yet. He's actually putting down cannons in his own natural mineral lines, expecting a vulture drop to come out from Terra. Yeah, the Terran player is actually going to go for his own third as well, so he's going to match his opponent's macro now.
Gosudark going up in gateways. I don't think an observer has gotten in to see what Terran's up to, so he still might be wondering if this is a timing or not. But if he had seen the starport or the double army, he would know this is 2-1, which would mean he has a lot of time to get more bases on the map. He doesn't really have to play so defensively. He can be a little bit more greedy, more aggressive with his expansions. Looks like now he's going to set up, take 4th.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like Gosudark's build order here, because normally as the Protoss player you would want to have that forward a little bit earlier. He's going to go for that attack, it seems like. He's now moving across the map with a lot of Dragoons and a bunch of Zealots also packed into his shuttle. So he's going to try and break this position, but look at how many tanks he's got on the high ground.
No, tanks aren't that well split, but it is a high ground, so it's hard to attack here. He really is going to depend on this shuttle to get some nice Zealot bombs off, but I think this is pretty hard to break. Looks like he's moving in, but he's leading with the Dragoons. The Dragoons taking the brunt of fire. 3 Zealots get on top of the tanks, but good targeting by Terra. You can see he's shooting only Dragoons with his tanks. He's not allowing his tanks to splash themselves. And just with that, it's a very easy defense for Terra. And now Gosudark is in trouble. He's only on 6 gateways. His 4th Nexus only now going up.
Yeah, you could see how Terra was on top of his targeting there as the tank nozzles kept swiveling around to target the right Dragoons. So really something you need to pay close attention to as you're defending against these kinds of drops. Otherwise, you're just going to end up killing your own units. So really expertly held there by Terra as he moves, or as he gets ahead in supply, 120 to 103, adding more and more factories to his macro cycle.
Factory explosion, 2-1 almost done. And Gosudark is going to have 1 stasis and a 2nd arbiter, not without enough energy. So you really want to prioritize getting your arbiter tech up. It's slightly behind here, and Terra is pretty well prepared with his upgrades economy and soon to have vessels to counter these arbiters.
Yeah, I would expect him to start moving out relatively soon, Terra that is, especially after having held that attack without taking any damage whatsoever. He lost maybe 2 or 3 tanks and a few turrets. He's got his EMP ready. How many vessels does he have? I think he's got 1 at least, right? Probably.
It's like no vessel quite yet.
Oh, well.
He's laying out mines, and this is smart. You want to lay out mines to give you more vision, more map coverage before you move out. It allows you to spot the Protoss army more effectively, allows you to stop counters. Oh, this could be disastrous. Too many Dragoons here, no observer, and all these mines.
This is what anxiety looks like.
But Terra's still playing defensively. I mean, it's a little bit awkward to move out at before max or before near max, and Terra is currently supply blocked. Maybe he's gonna wait for another couple rounds of units.
Looks like those Dragoons are actually outside the vision of the mines, because if he knew while they were there, he could try and pull them in with a few vultures. Oh yeah, they're cloaked.
Oh, they finally do detonate. 3 Dragoons go down right away.
Yes, Terra is still keeping his opponent in check with these vultures, confirming how many units are where, what the upgrades are as well, possibly. Does Gosudark have any upgrades? I think I saw.
And here comes Terra to EMP that first arbiter, and that is crucial. That arbiter was gonna have 2 stasis pretty soon. So now we're going to have no energy on that one, and this one is only going to have 1 stasis. And if Protoss only has 1 stasis when you're moving out, they're in big trouble. And it looks like Terra is finally preparing to move out. 2-1 is complete. And here he is pushing out. His tank count is in the low teens, I would say. So not like a super overwhelming number of tanks, but he's very well upgraded, and he's not going to have to deal with any kind of AoE effect.
Yeah, it all comes down to the fact that the base, that the third you take on this map is a mineral only, because you basically always get 1 machine shop per gas. So, as you said, he doesn't have as many tanks as he normally would, but it is to be expected given this is polypoid. Now, it's still a respectable tank count. He's got at least 1 control group there.
Yeah, he's only being... Like another thing, Gosudark hasn't been able to slow this down at all. The tanks are already here sieging up. He's on the low ground, so this could be the opportunity for Gosudark if he can get a nice stasis on some of the back tanks. And here he comes, he's coming in.
Doesn't look like he's got any mana for spells.
It's like we have 1 stasis, but he uses it after all the Zealots have died. The Dragoons very clumped up, and again, nice targeting by Terra with his tanks.
It's a complete massacre. 170 supply to 120. Gosudark has got 72 probes, so that means this army is genuinely tiny. As the Terran moves into the third, Gosudark taps out. Terra is going to pull this one off with a 2-0 victory over his fellow countryman.
That was a very quick set, 2-0 again, and just very nice play by Terra, very secure. And just hit his timing, and Gosudark really delayed his third base for no reason. Arbiter got EMP'd. That was crucial.
Yeah, this is again what I was expecting out of Terra, even in game one, playing that super standard game, given his opponent's history of aggression and cheesy play. It looked like Gosudark was a little bit indecisive in this whole series. In game number one, it all came down to his control mistakes in the early game with the Dragoons not really engaging the Marines halfway across the map. And in game two, it looked like he didn't really know what to do, or he didn't really know what he wanted to do with his opening. And it really came back to bite him, as Terra is going to move on to the winners match of Group B. We're going to find out who he's going to go up against in just a minute, as we've got Trutacz and eOnzErG duking it out in a ZZZ for a spot in the winners match in just a minute.
This is gonna be very, very close. There's this, I guess it's like a feature on Liquipedia where you could look up players and all their results in foreign tournaments, and you can look up Eon and Trutacz, and they faced a ton of times, and it's pretty close to 50%. So it really could go either way. It's only a best of 3, so it could be quick, could be a quick 2-0. I mean, I don't know. I could see either winning here. ZVZ is one of those matchups where I'm not a Zerg player, so outside of it, I really look at it and it just seems like anyone can win. Usually the better player, but I think it's one of the more build order reliant matchups in the game.
Yeah, I don't know much about the ZVZ. I don't play Zerg, so it feels like a knife fight. You kind of have to do a lot of guesswork in this matchup, and it usually ends up being the quickest matchup in all of StarCraft. So we'll see if that holds true. Again, Trutacz, one of the best Zergs we've had in recent years, had a bit of a lackluster performance in the most recent BSL as he got eliminated in the round of 16. eOnzErG, quite conversely, he did manage to take third place there with a kind of a miracle run, really taking a lot of good games off of really good players. So we'll see if he manages to replicate this kind of result in the RCG. And we're going to jump into the map draw for this map number 1.
Oh.
Right, looks like it's going to be Eclipse.
All right, so easy to defend third, not really gonna factor in here. Lots of high grounds, probably not either. Map split scenarios.
Being taken in ZVZ, so these map features don't really come into play in
but in ZVZ, the fact that it's a 2-player map is pretty important. They're gonna scout each other right away, and that's pretty important in determining the kind of build you're gonna choose.
Yeah, definitely. But again, as you said, this might be the quickest match we've had so far, as it is a ZVZ. Both players relatively known for their aggression, or at least eOnzErG more so than Trutacz, who really likes to play these aggressive build orders in practically every matchup. So we'll see if that comes into play here.
I don't know. I might have read this a couple years ago where Trutacz said his favorite matchup was ZVZ. Do you know if that's correct or not?
I'm not sure. I know that we often aim for Trutacz to play a ZVZ in Nation Wars, and we did manage to get the right matchup in the finals. So we'll see
is that correct?
Yeah, we were trying to snipe Gorinich, and we got him with Trutacz, if I recall correctly. But he does like this matchup, definitely. Right, I think we're just about ready to jump into this game number 1 between eOnzErG and Trutacz, so let's do it, Zero. So here we are, spawning as the red Zerg in the top right-hand corner. Representing Poland, he is Trutacz, the 3rd place finisher of the Russian Cyber Games last year. And his opponent in the bottom left as the blue Zerg, he is eOnzErG.
Leading up to this tournament, I guess leading up to last BSL, eOnzErG was kind of like a struggle, performing poorly, getting eliminated out of group stages. I think in both the previous 2 BSLs and also RCG last year. So him finishing 3rd is like a big boost to his morale, his ego, and I expect him to do well this time around. He's up against Trutacz, who I think for just a very long time has been one of the top players in the scene. And it's ZVZ on a 2-player map, so very, very, very unlikely we're going to see a 12 hatch.
You think so?
Yeah, it's unlikely simply because it's just an auto loss on a 2-player map. Well, not auto loss, I should say, but it's like highly unfavorable on a 2-player map to go 12 hatch against 9 pool. On 4-player maps, you do have sometimes a chance where you get scouted last. It looks like both players going for overlords. Probably going to see a 12 pool, but I could be wrong. Let's see.
I wish I had anything meaningful to add in terms of like build order knowledge. But
I mean,
alas,
there's like the big
I don't
3.
understand this matchup at all.
There's the big 3 where it's 9 pool, 12 pool, and 12 hatch. Now there are some variants and there are some different builds specifically designed to counter 9 pool, like over gas. There's also 9 hatch, but mostly you're gonna see 3 builds: 9 pool, 12 pool, and 12 hatch. And because it's a 2-player map, you can kind of rule out 12 hatch and say, okay, you're probably gonna go 12 pool or 9 pool. So if you go 12 pool against that, you're gonna be in a good spot. Now, you could take the risk and go 12 hatch, knowing that your opponent is probably gonna go 12 pool, but that kind of gets into that like rock paper scissors scenario. So the safest bet is 12 pool, and both players are doing that.
So TLDR, ZVZ is about RNG. You're guessing. You're doing a lot of guesswork, right? In ZVZ.
A little bit.
This is a matchup where you're doing the most guesswork.
There is something that does change it is that it's a 2-player map, so you're gonna get the scout right away, because scouting is also like the next big thing. Not only builds, but like if you scout your opponent first and you're doing the same build, you already have the advantage. But since it's a 2-player map, they're gonna scout each other right away. On top of that, it's mirror builds. But pretty soon they'll know that it's 9-9 pool. Like, for example, the Lings would already be at the natural now. What? I mean, just because you're going 9 pool, you don't have to attack right away. You could hide the fact that you're going 9 pool and only reveal them when you have speed. Both players take 1 off gas, and this is necessary with 12 pool. Both players are hiding Lings, but they see the hatch timing, and they already know these are experienced players. This is 12 pool from both sides.
eOnzErG doing his best to try and hide these Lings from the Overlord, as he's now going to move across the map. I think they've got a very similar Ling count, a few more popping out for eOnzErG. Trutacz does have that 1 more drone, which might come into play here. He's going to have plenty of time to make more Lings and try and defend it.
It looks like Eon does make that drone to catch up, but in ZVZ, having 1 drone different is huge. Eon's going to be aggressive here, but Trutacz has defender's advantage. He's going to be looks like we have a small run by here. This is huge. Just going to pull Trutacz's attention. It's going to be hard for Eon to execute an attack when they're doing the same builds. They're going to have similar number of Lings, but Trutacz is going to be able to reinforce faster.
It looks like eOnzErG is managing to pull ahead with that single drone of advantage. It's now being turned into a Spire, I would imagine. We have no Spire for Trutacz just yet. It's now being planted down.
Again, no damage done, but he's just pulling Trutacz's attention here. Just a little bit of a nervous moment. 1 Ling isn't that threatening. Very hard to kill a drone with 1 Ling. 2, you can if your opponent doesn't pay attention for even a second. 2 links can easily kill a drone, but Trutacz is on top of the link, just keeping tabs on it at all times.
Yeah, so we see that Trutacz is pulling ahead, currently 13 drones to 11 drones. Is that going to come into play right now?
Yeah, it should mean Eon has more links, but again, all he needs to do is 2 drones go down, and now I think Trutacz is okay.
Yeah,
Trutacz is in a very, very dominant position, but he might need a sunken here because he has made more drones. This is going to be key moment here because Eon is very behind from losing 2 drones. Like, that is catastrophic damage. He's only going to have 6 drones on minerals with 9 drones.
Yeah, it's all going to come down to control here. I'm surprised that Trutacz is not trying to throw down like evo chambers or anything to block these things.
It looks like Eon has slightly better concave, but Trutacz has more links. The reinforcements for Eon. Nice control there by Eon, but he's just gonna. He's working with the same number of links now. And a couple get caught now. It looks like he's just gonna counter here. Trutacz getting caught off guard here. He's gonna have to retreat. I'm surprised he's committing to attack when he's so far ahead.
Yeah, this feels like a massive mistake, letting this many links into your main base. Now, eOnzErG doesn't have anything to defend himself, but it might be, the difference in how quickly you get into your opponent's main base. The spy gets picked off the Trutacz, as he only has 2 mutas and 2 scourge. So is that 2 mutas?
Okay, this decision to counter and not defend all of a sudden introduced a ton of variance into this game because Trutacz was way ahead. Now he could still win here because he had the better economy for a very long time, but he doesn't have a Spire. So the longer this goes on, the better it is for Eon. But I think Trutacz can win just right away here with these initial mutas.
He's only got 3, right? No, he's got 4 and like 2 Scourge. Meanwhile, eOnzErG is only just now hatching his own mutas. He's still got a few lings remaining, so he might send them across the map to try and pull the mutas back into the main base of the red Zerg.
Yeah, but Trutacz only making lings now, knowing he can't make any units.
Something. Oh, he managed to pick off 2 mutas there. It looks like Trutacz is falling apart a little bit, as the Scourge are still trying to chase the mutas of his opponent, trading Scourge for Scourge.
Yeah, trading Scourge for a Scourge when you don't have a Spire, not ideal, but he was forced into that. It's pretty hard to kill Scourge with only 2 mutas. When he had 4, I'm not sure what happened. Looks like he miscontrolled or wasn't looking right at that moment. And I think Eon is growing his muta count, and Trutacz is going to be in big trouble here. He doesn't have that Spire. He can't afford it either.
Yeah, but it does have a lot of links moving across the map right now, so the balance has kind of shifted in the favor of the red Zerg. Now, unfortunately, there are a few mutas ready to defend these red links, as they do make it into the main base of eOnzErG, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to find any damage, although there's more reinforcements coming in.
Yeah, but eOnzErG has made enough links. Now, they aren't going to pop right away, so you can get some economic damage in here. But again, he has to do a ton of damage. Trutacz isn't mining gas either, so he's really committing to these links. He doesn't have a Spire on the way. He's just making more and more links. Been getting an evolution chamber, and I think he's gonna switch to just dealing with the mutas by countering and getting some spores up. But Eon, you can see he just has more drones here. They're all mining minerals. He realizes, okay, Trutacz only has what, 1 muta left, maybe none. All he has to do is hold this ramp. Even if he loses a natural, he wins.
Yeah, there's no transitioning out of this. He knows that Trutacz is only making links from now on, so as long as you know what your opponent is doing, you're probably going to be able to counter that, especially given Trutacz only has 3 drones remaining, as they're now getting picked off by the flying shrimp. And we're all about waiting for Trutacz to tap out from this game.
And so the key moment in this game was Trutacz was ahead. He held off the attack, but then he got caught out of position with his links. Eon just moved them north instead of back to his base. And that introduced so much variance into this game, and that's how Eon was able to win with a nice Spire snipe there.
Yeah, there you have it. eOnzErG winning that game number 1 on Eclipse. And now we're going to see what map Trutacz has chosen for for game number 2, because again, this is loser's pick. The first map is randomized. It is drawn by Rossbrain and his team, and then the loser gets to pick the second map and the third one, should that come to pass. Do you have any picks? Anything like
one ZVZ? I mean, it could easily just be Fighting Spirit because it's the map they know the best, but and maybe he wants a 3-player map for some reason. Like, I'm not really sure what a Zerg player would prioritize when they're picking matches on in a ZVZ set. Like, if you think about it, I guess if you want to limit the variance, you pick a 2-player map so you both scout first. But if you want to introduce more, you get a 4-player map.
So if you like, he's chosen Pallet Point. I was trying to think if there's any case for picking match point when you're the favorite, or at least you like CVZ. But it seems like Trutacz has chosen Pallet Point there. So I think this is the map we've seen the most today.
Yeah, this is like Sylphid, just a very nice map. Balanced, and I think most players get acclimated on maps that are quote-unquote good maps. Like, if you compare this map to something a little bit more strange, like what's that new map, Blooming Field, Ringing Bloom, something like that.
Bloom, yeah.
Like, this is just more familiar based on how similar it is to the current maps.
Right, I think we're just about ready to jump into game number 2 here, so without further ado, let's roll the replay. Spawning is the red Zerg in the top right hand corner, currently trailing 1 game behind his opponent. He is Trutacz. And the Belgian player in the bottom left. As the blue Zerg, he is eOnzErG. So spawning diagonally across from one another. The longest rush distance you can hope for on a map like this. Neither player going to scout one another on their first try.
So 4-player map. All of a sudden we can see 12 hatch, but I still think it's unlikely for either to go 12 hatch. We could get a repeat scenario of 12 pool against 12 pool, but I think one of them is going to go for 9 pool.
We'll see if that comes to pass.
Well, we already see Trutacz. He doesn't get that Overlord, and he's going to go for 9 pool right away. eOnzErG, this could definitely be a 12 pool. It could also be 12 hatch, but you're up 1-0, why take risk, right? It all comes down to the mindset of the players.
Is overpool even a thing in TVZ, or?
Yeah, overpool is a thing, but it's just way less common. Overpool is designed to do well against 9 pool and basically nothing else. All right, this is the moment where we find, okay, it is. Okay, I was about to say, is that 270? I saw nothing, but it is just a 12 pool, and it's cross map, so this works in his favor as well.
Yeah, so possibly going to be lining up for a slightly longer ZVZ.
Yeah, right. So I guess I should explain how 12 pool favors against 9 pool. Now, it's supposed to be that 9 pool or that 12 pool does well against 9 pool, but it's not like it's so in favor of the 12 pooler, because the 12 pooler has to do a couple things to hold off. He has to utilize some drones to defend the first attack. 9 pooler has speed. Looks like Trutacz is going for speed first. Trutacz is going to have speed way before Eon, and this second hatchery production isn't going to help Eon until another minute. So for the initial defense, Eon is going to have to rely on a couple drones to utilize them in combination with the links. Look like Trutacz sending 5 cross and 1 to bottom right.
Yeah, but the fact that the cross spawns actually plays in the favor of eOnzErG, because that rush distance is a little bit longer than it would be where they spawn like horizontally or vertically from one another. It looks like eOnzErG might not even have to pull any drones right now to defend against the initial Zergs of the red Zerg.
Not right away, but he's gonna need them once that speed kicks in. Like, speed just makes Lings attack. Like, they're not gonna attack any faster, but they're gonna get into position to attack faster. So Eon is going to need that. There's speed for Trutacz, and here we go. We're going to have the same number of lings, but Trutacz are going to be more effective. The lair is about halfway done. Eon's second hatchery about to finish here. You don't want to make a sunken. You want to just rely on lings. Here we go.
We have Trutacz moving in, getting a really good wrap around the lings of his opponent, sniping drones, sniping lings. And he's getting quite far ahead now in terms of attacking units. More and more lings showing up across the map, trying to bolster the attack.
This is so that the lings pop out damaged, and this is what I was talking about. That was the same number of lings from Trutacz, but he was able to get a good angle, and he won that fight very decisively.
Yeah, now we've got a bit of a drone drill coming in to try and bug out the lings of the red Zerg. But it looks like there might be actually too many now. There's a few more lings popping out for eOnzErG, but his eco has been damaged quite a lot. There's 5 drones now participating in the fight. He's only got like 1 still mining.
Yeah, Trutacz doesn't really need to make any more drones. He's putting on the pressure, and he's making it so that Eon's economy is in the gutters as well. And we see he only has 8 drones. I think that's 6 on minerals. But the fact that Eon has had to use all those drones, lost several as well, means that Trutacz is in a very, very commanding position here. He might need a sunken.
I think all he needs to do right now is hold his ramp, because he's got a couple of lings across the map, still being a threat, and he's got that spire about to finish. So as long as he holds his ramp, he's going to be, you know, ship shape, right? 7 drones to 6. eOnzErG is still on hatchery tech.
Yeah, but this is 1 sunken being made, and this is important because with 6 drones, you can still produce non-stop lings up to hatchery. Now, looks like there was a move out there, well done by Trutacz. It's like a counter, gets 1 more drone, and all he needs to do is hold here. All he needs to do is hold. You do have that sunken finally, and he is retreating from his ramp, and I think Eon is just, like, once these mutants are coming out, there's not going to be anything. I mean, he's making an evolution chamber, but he's not. He has 4 drones here. What are his options?
Yeah, investing in spores right now is not something he can afford to do right now. He's only got 3 drones left, as the first mutas now pop for Trutacz. eOnzErG is going to try and come in for 1 last attack, but there's just too many lings, a sunken, and the mutas. It's not even going to be close.
Yeah, and Trutacz even making a drone here, and he stopped mining gas, and with that he wins.
eOnzErG taps out of game number 1 as Trutacz ties up the series 1-1, as we're going to be moving into game number 3. It's now going to be eOnzErG's map choice. So, again, any expectations?
I mean, match point is in play. We still see, I mean, Fighting Spirit and Circuit Breaker. They play very similarly to Polypoid. I'm not sure. Trutacz picked the 4-player map, 1-9 pool, and it worked well because, I mean, you saw in that first engagement, he was just able to get a better engagement, a better angle with his lings.
Yeah, despite the fact that they were on cross spawns. Which is actually a little bit surprising because I would expect eOnzErG to handle that a little bit better.
All right, so we're tied 1-1. First time we're going to match point at 1-1. And the map is Sylphid.
All right, we're going to Sylphid for game number 3 between eOnzErG and Trutacz. Again, one of the most standard maps in the map pool we've had in the Afrika era. But again, I wouldn't expect it to come into play too much since it is ZVZ. A little bit of RNG still going to be involved. We'll see who scouts whom first. That is definitely going to be something to look out for in this game. And I think we're just about ready to jump into this game. So there we are, spawning as the blue Zerg in the 8-ish o'clock spawn on Sylphid. He is eOnzErG. And his opponent as the red Zerg is Trutacz.
If we look at the scouts, they're gonna scout each other first.
Yep. So RNG is not really going to come into play as much as I thought it would. And as both players pick the right spawn to to scout first.
Now, 3-player map. Still fit. It's still unlikely to see 12 hatch. But Eon has gone for 12 pool twice. And if you're playing a best of 3 and you're 2-touch and you're saying, okay, he went 12 pool twice, I don't think he's going to do it again. Or it could work either way. Like, who knows?
Yeah, ZVZ in a nutshell.
All right, so we have both players going for that Overlord. No 9 pool this time around. Now, 12 pool against 12 hatch is a scenario where 12 hatch is extremely favored. And looks like Eon again going for that 12 pool. And look at this pool positioning. That's very cute. It'll mineral boost the top patch. It's something that was recently discovered.
Yeah, there's a few locations that when you put a supply depot as well, it kind of streamlines one of the mineral patches as well.
And we have both players going for that 12 pool. So a repeat of game 1 with the builds, and they're both scouting each other first.
So again, mirror builds. This is where you would expect Trutacz to be a little bit more favoured, right? Because, like, from what you were saying, he really likes this matchup. He does well in it, whereas eOnzErG is more of an aggressive player. And if you get these mirror matchups with these mirror builds, you kind of expect the favoured player to come out a little bit ahead.
He made one questionable decision in game 1 that lost him the game. He could be up 2-0 right now. This could have already ended, but we do have them both going for speed first. This is completely normal.
Yeah,
now they're gonna scout each other first, and let's see who decides to make that drone first.
Game 1, he still ended up making the better macro choices, right? Because he was ahead. It was just that move out that cost him the game. So it's not so much about the strategy, but like the tactics, and micro decision making with his units. But again,
right, of course, because you could be ahead in terms of build, but if you make wrong decisions, then your build advantage is gone.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Yeah. So we've got more and more links popping out for both players. Again, mirroring each other quite, well, just perfectly, basically. We have to wait and see until somebody makes a move the other one isn't expecting. Well, actually, eOnzErG's lair is quite far ahead of his opponents, right? He's just about to finish. Oh,
yeah, went lair first compared to speed first from 2-touch. And that means Trutacz is going to want to do some damage. Again, we saw how big a difference the speed first makes. But it's only a few seconds this time that there's going to be a moment where Eon doesn't have speed. So the timer is clicking or ticking for 2-touch. And Trutacz making a sunken behind this. That means he droned up, and you can see the drone count is in his favor quite significantly.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I thought he was misreading the situation by making that sunken, because it felt like he would try and attack, knowing his opponent was going for a super quick spire, or at least a spire that is quicker than his own. But yeah, good
but
call.
Eon has also droned up. I mean, they both have full information here. Eon realizes what's going on. He sees, okay, he's making drones, but he's making a sunken. I'm not going to attack. And that's the correct call here.
Yeah, he's now pulling ahead a little bit in terms of drones, 14 to 12. And the spire is just about to finish. So he's going to have that short window of time. Or that small window where he's got mutas and his opponent doesn't. We see the overlords now being pulled back by Trutacz. Likewise, eOnzErG retreating in anticipation of those mutas coming out. That's a lot of links. That's a lot more links spawning.
This is a key timing here. Before your opponent has their mutas pop, you can go for a mass lane attack, and looks like Trutacz is setting up, but Eon has a nice arc here. He's getting a favorable engagement, I think, and he has the faster reinforcements. Looks like Trutacz's lane count is dwindling, and he's forced to retreat there. And now we have a two-lane counter.
Yeah, 2 links making it into the main base of Trutacz. I think they picked off 1 drone before likewise getting sniped.
Yeah, even
Well,
not killing any drones, this forced drill is doing so much economic damage.
Yeah, this is really messing with Trutacz's mining. As more Lings do make it into the main base now, they are going to get countered by the Lings of Trutacz. But this is already doing quite a lot of damage to the economy of the Red Zerg. As the first mutas are just about to hatch for eOnzErG. There's 3 on the way. Trutacz is countering with Scourge. Oh, he's actually already got 3. So he's going up to 6 Flying Shrimp.
He's got 6 on gas, so he's going to be able to pump out a ton of Muta and Scourge. He's not paying attention, loses 1 Muta there. And the Lings are countering his main. They're going directly for those gas drones. Very important. Looks like... Oh. And he on top of his mutas, able to kill out those Scourge. And now Trutacz is in big trouble here.
But again, he's got quite a lot of Lings halfway across the map, more and more. Now, oh, sorry, that's Scourge. But there are more Lings moving across the map to try and bolster the attack. Because I think Trutacz really needs to go on the offensive with these Lings to try and stay alive.
Yeah, he's going Ling Scourge, so he can keep the mutas occupied with the Scourge while the Lings do damage on the ground. But this kind of play does not scale well, because if your Scourge don't connect, all of a sudden your muta deficit is just going to be permanent.
Yeah, you're right. But those Scourge are connecting. I think 2 of them did connect. Although eOnzErG is now on top of his micro.
Yeah, very nice patrol micro here from Eon. Looks like only one of the Scourge connected, not able to kill any mutas. Oh, just for a second looks away and gets 4 Scourge. Eats 4 Scourge right away. But again, look at you can see that Trutacz hasn't been making any mutas. He's relying on the Scourge and the Lings to keep Eon occupied. All of a sudden, Eon is just attacking, and with good enough micro with these mutas, he's able to snipe these Scourge effectively. Very nice control here.
Yeah, he's doubling his opponent's supply, and now he's got 6 mutas in the macro of his opponent, sniping the Scourge, and it looks like Trutacz is all but out of options, as there's hardly any defense against the mutas in the main, in the natural. The last Scourge falls. 4 more on the production tab, but I don't think they're going to connect. Now let's see. Yep, eOnzErG is on top of his micro. None of the Scourge connects. And I think we're just waiting for Trutacz to tap out, and there you have it. GG. eOnzErG takes out Trutacz with a 2-1, and is going to go up against Terra in the winners match of Group B, as Trutacz falls to the losers match, where he's going to face off against Gosudark to stay alive in the tournament.
Very nice play by eOnzErG. He got that nice arc at his natural. Very good defense. I mean, Ling versus Ling execution is very difficult. Lings have such little health and so much damage. The fights end so quickly, but Eon with that nice arc, and then combine that with that counterattack, he was able to kill or hurt Trutacz's economy enough that he was just way ahead. Even from mirror positions, he was able to get that advantage. So pretty impressive.
ZZZero is the matchup where the smallest difference in builds turns into the biggest advantage you can possibly imagine, right? Because you're on so few drones, so few Lings, that sniping even a single Ling sometimes snowballs into a massive advantage. So yeah, it was a pretty good ZVZ. I've just been told that we're going to go for a short 5-minute break to catch a breath, and we'll be returning with the winners matches of both groups A and B. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Bata Bata is the name of the dance we do down Johannesburg way.
It's an amazing location, best organization, best players.
Yeah, pity that RCG2020 prize pool was not double, and we have just players today. Not too many games to watch.
Still, we want good times tonight. Let's get ready to rumble.
Hello.
Hey, what's
Welcome,
up,
everyone?
everybody?
We have a new caster here.
Brand new. I've never casted before, actually, guys. We're trying this out.
How's it going, Doc?
Dude, I am so ready, man. I am so excited. I hope all of you beautiful, talented, wonderful, magnanimous people in the chat are excited as well. Because, dude, I've been watching the cast with you and Ziggy and getting so ready and so hyped to just watch these games, man. It's going to be so much fun.
All right, great to hear it. We're going to start off with Dewalt against Caster, 2 Russian players. Now, there's the way the maps are picked, they're random. So the first map is always going to be random. We have the little balls put on.
Dude,
So
I thought that was so
random.
cool. Oh, man.
Dewalt won pretty both players won pretty convincingly against their opponent. Dewalt just looking as strong as ever. And here we go. It's best of 3. Winner of this match advances into the quarterfinals, and then the loser is going to go up against the winner of the loser's match.
Yeah, so far, I don't think we've seen anything that's been super crazy surprising as far as results go. But I'm very, very excited to look forward to what we're going to be seeing in these coming up rounds here.
Yeah, I mean, the results, not surprising, but the way, like, these games were very, very one-sided. That was a little bit surprising. I mean, Dewalt just looked like on another tier compared to Drag. Same with Casper and Bakuryu.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of cool because generally the foreign scene is like, it's not so stratified, right? It's not like like the Korean scene where there's like a whole tier above everyone that's like completely untouchable. Foreign scene's so competitive most of the time. It is very surprising, especially so deep into a tournament like this, that you're going to see these results that are so one-sided and so decisive as far as like the victories go. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it, man. Can't wait.
All right, Dewalt just looking as strong as ever in this tournament. I think he's one of the favorites, I would say. If it's not Bonif, it's going to be Dewalt who wins.
Dude, look at these pictures, man. We have holy shit, man. I don't think I've ever looked that good in my life. Either of these dudes. Dude, look at Casper though. he's straight flexing, man. He's got the aviators on. Was it a bucket hat?
Bucket hats are in style now. And Dewalt looking very serious. Just like a businessman. Comes in, gets some wins.
Dude, Dewalt looks like he's just gonna pull out like a pistol with like a silencer on it and then end my life and just walk out of the building. No one's gonna even notice. I'll just be like sitting in my chair. Someone will walk into my office and be like, Doc, where's that report? And then I'll just like slowly turn around and I'll just be like, with my tongue out. You know what I mean?
All right, let's go into that map draw. Let's see what our first map is going to be. And it's Sofin.
Oh yeah.
All right, main state. Yep, this is the most played map outside of Fighting Spirit, I would say now. We don't have ramps. That's going to come into play. And we do have some unbuildable terrain that makes it so you can't just block your choke at between your main and natural.
Yeah. I know a pretty prominent Protoss player by the name of Eric G5 Rothmuller, who absolutely hates this map as Protoss. I don't know. What are your feelings on it as far as balance for this matchup?
I think it's okay. I mean, a couple of things to make it hard. The mineral only, you can't pylon wall it effectively. The third base, that's like kind of near the middle, and let's call those the green bases. They're terrible for Protoss. Easy for Terrans to snipe from the middle of the map and also reduce mineral patches. So I think it's slightly favored towards Terran, but it's not so much that, like, it's not Circuit Breaker. Like Circuit Breaker, that's a very obnoxious map to play as Protoss against Terran.
Alrighty, guys. Well, it looks like we are just about ready to go ahead and get on into it, guys. We're gonna be heading to Neo Sylphid. Here we go.
All right, looks like in the 12 o'clock spawn, we have Casper as the blue Terran.
Alrighty, guys, and in the bottom left-hand corner, as the red Protoss, we have Dewalt.
Yep, players respecting the color scheme, so casters aren't confused.
Alrighty, man. So, I'm sure most of you guys know, PvT is a super macro heavy matchup. We always like to see it. Lots of fun, usually very long games, very deterministic as far as how skill goes. Generally, due to the length of the matchup, I would say the better player usually wins. Of course, there's lots of crazy things that everyone can do in Brood War. But yeah, man, I am very much looking forward to see how these players match up. If you had a favorite, who would you say it would be, Sari?
I think Dewalt. I think Dewalt in this matchup would be favored against every single Terran in the foreign scene. And then I think Casper is quite a few tiers below the top Terrans. And it looks like he's going for something we saw already on this map. He's going for 10-10, where you make the barracks and the gas on 10. This gives you a faster factory timing, and it's usually going to lead to something very aggressive. And for Terra, that worked out very well against Gosudark. Let's see how Dewalt reacts to this. Now, Dewalt's going to scout him first, and this is key. He's going to see the barracks timing.
I have to agree with your assessment there. I think that Dewalt is generally considered to be one of, if not I'd say probably the best one of the best foreigners in the entire scene right now. I mean, you know, especially with the way that PvT is these days, you can do a very strong 2-base timing, and with a very nice build order and just some very careful early gameplay, you can end up with a victory even as the weaker player. So we'll have to go ahead and see how that goes. But that is a very early scout. It's going to see that factory timing right away. So Probe is going to reveal what is going to be happening in the next few minutes. If you're seeing this, what are you thinking? Are you thinking like a 2-fact type of play where you're going to see a really aggressive move out? Are we thinking fake double? What are we thinking?
Right, so Dewalt sees there's only one on gas, and he saw the factory timing super fast. And usually, like, he should already know this was 10-10, so he's going to know it's going to be fake double, most likely just faster than the normal fake double. But Casper is trading off economy to do this. You can see this factory went down at 14, but you need to cut to get all of this done. So I think Dewalt's just going to prepare himself for the fake double. Not going to take any risk, cut any corners.
So I'm sure a lot of you guys in chat know, but the response to fake doubles, you have to get those Dragoons out early and kite the Marines across the map here. So it's a very control-heavy response that's required from the Protoss in order to not die to this. You know, Dewalt is, again, one of the best players in the scene here. I think he's very experienced at holding off an FD. I would expect to see this to be a pretty flawless example of what to do against a very strong build like this in the early game.
Yeah, the reason why we don't see fake double and Terran's opt for that fast expansion is because of how good the Dragoon control has gotten. Here we have 1 Dragoon poking, but 3 rangeless or 3 Marines can beat a rangeless Dragoon pretty easy. But look, Dewalt smartly just retreating, only taking shield damage. All he did there was get a couple shots on off a Marine to weaken it, but I think that's worthwhile, the regen on the shield.
Oh yeah,
really coming into play.
An excellent trade, because I mean, like, every single shot that's on these Marines in the early portion of this move out is going to be super important. Once the tank comes out, it's going to be exponentially more difficult to start doing the damage to the Marines, because the tank is always going to be a threat at dealing damage to the Dragoons, especially if the Marines are staying real close to that tank here. But it looks like we're at that time to start kiting back. We're hoping that the Dragoon range kicks in pretty quickly here, because it's going to be very difficult if we're not able to thin out these Marines.
Right, and it looks like Dewalt doesn't have range quite yet. You can see it, but he's hesitant to engage. And this is because 10-10 hits a lot faster than the regular FD. Now with the 3rd healthy Dragoon, I think he'll be a little bit more confident.
Oh man, it's so funny. We have that super injured Dragoon in the back there. He's like, bro, guys, come on. Come on, stand in front of me. Come on, guys. He's got like 1 HP left here. He's got 1 leg that isn't bleeding. Oh man, and dude, look at the micro though. The Marines are already getting thinned out here. We have 2 injured Marines just getting pulled into the back so they're not exposed to the tank fire as much as possible. Oh my gosh. And we already have a kill on the tank. The Dragoons have been just doing massive damage in a perfect hold from Dewalt, honestly.
Okay, so something is wrong here. Mines is only halfway done. Usually after you start that first tank, you get mines so that your first vulture has mines when it's complete. But nothing in the way of mines. And Dewalt is being very aggressive. He realized there were no mines. He can just move forward with his Dragoons. He's going to be able to delay this. He has to be careful with this counterattack, though.
Oh, man. Mr. Grimeboss here getting two vultures, though, in the main of the Protoss. At the same time, facing some pretty serious aggression here in the main. The mines are coming down and trying to kind of zone off a little bit here for the vultures. Vultures trying to do as much damage as possible, but oh my gosh,
man.
What a sick surround! Oh my god. This
is why you never commit Dragoons into the main. Like, if all he did was delay the natural, job well done, right? But going into the main, you're gonna face those football linebacker SCVs, and Dragoons don't stand a chance.
I think it's so funny that SCVs are literally stronger than Marines. Like a Marine can't pick a fight with an SCV on micro because he'll lose every time.
Like, SCVs are faster than Marines. They have more health. You basically don't want... You could just use SCVs. If you can make a 150 cost command center to make more SCVs that don't mine but only attack, they're probably better than Marines either way.
Oh, man. And those mines now out in front of the gateway doing some damage to the Dragoons here. Of course, they're going to have plenty of time to regenerate their shields, but got a little damage on the health there, so every little bit counts, especially when Dragoons are so expensive in the early game. I've heard them even be compared to tanks as far as how costly they are to Protoss.
Yeah, I mean, you see that pylon coming to play. I think Casper wanted to double expand, because when you go for an FD like this, especially a 10-10-10 FD, your economy is quite a bit behind Protoss's. And we see the worker count is significantly in Dewalt's favor. Dewalt ready to take a third. He held off that attack. He knows he's in a favorable position.
Interesting now. I mean, obviously the pylon is going to give away kind of what the plan was initially, at least for Casper here. So now that Dewalt is made aware of this, looks like we have the Dragoons making their way out onto the field. It doesn't seem like this is going to be the plan going forward. Obviously, the expansion plan has kind of been foiled already. But, I mean, what do we do here? Are we trying to contain on 2 bases and just out macro at this point? I feel like that's a pretty excellent plan.
Looks like it was a fake to just kill that pylon, because Casper added 2 factories and he's getting a second gas railway. It looks like he's preparing for a timing. While in the meantime, just taking map control. Look at the Dragoons heading over to the third. He's going to see there's nothing there. Then he's probably going to go scout the main with that observer and see that it's actually 4-fact.
Very nice, very nice. Looks like we have our armories on the way here. Going to be getting those very important attack upgrades. Going to make tanks be super duper effective in the timing push that's going to be coming up here. But I don't know. Are we really gonna just wait on 2 bases for like +2 attack and then go for an attack once Protoss has been on 4 bases? That seems like a pretty scary plan. Or do you expect to see more of like a +1 attack just to put pressure on a Protoss?
I think he's gonna go before this 3rd base can get fully operational. I think that's his window here. But the wall is going Reaver, and the Reaver has a ton of utility in a position like this. Like, Casper really cut corners to get up these 4 factories, delayed his academy, delayed his eBay, so the Reaver's gonna have opportunity to get a ton of damage done. And if it can slow down Casper for, I don't know, 30 seconds, that's a ton of time while he gets his 3rd setup.
I think it's so crazy, man. Brood War is such a precise game. It's so funny when you say like, oh man, if you can delay him for 30 seconds, he's won the game or some, it's so crazy how these little differences in timing and stuff like that make such a big difference. Even the foreign scene where we're not considered to be the best players in the world, like even these tiny little portions of time make such a huge difference in the ability of players to respond to different strategies. Looks like we have the Reaver going into the main though. Lots of tanks in here, so it shouldn't do too much damage. If we can get maybe one good scarab off. Oh! Okay.
It's like one SCV went down.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, he didn't bring a Dragoon or 2 Zealots to tank the initial tank fire. He could have gotten a lot more shots off if he had something else in that shuttle.
Interesting thing to note, I'm sure, again, a lot of people in the chat are familiar with, but SCVs on the move actually don't get one shot by by scarabs. They take the second tier of damage from the scarab, so they get hit down to a very low amount of HP. But because they're moving, they just take the splash damage as opposed to the primary damage. So even if you cannot get your SCVs all the way out of the mineral line, just making sure that they're moving when they take the scarab shot is a huge important thing to do. Otherwise, you're going to be losing entire mineral lines worth of workers instantly.
Yeah, same thing with tanks really. If a Reaver shoots a tank and the tank is running away, it'll only do half the damage. So you move it from a like direct hit to just splash. And look at Dewalt's observer positioning, very smart, just keeping it at the front. He's going to see when Casper moves out. And he has these two Reavers right up at the front, and it's going to be very awkward for Casper to deal with this. He's going to have to siege up slowly, but not so far forward that the Reavers can target his tanks.
Yeah,
this requires a lot of control.
It's so hard too because the very important vultures that are going to be running out in front take so much damage from these scarabs, and you know if they get too far out, as you can see, they just get exploded, right? It's like all over for the vulture if he just steps up. So you end up taking like tons of chip damage against your main army while you slowly and awkwardly try to push out into the main part of the map here. And in the meantime, every second that you're getting delayed, your Protoss opponent is getting further and further ahead economically.
Yeah, Dewalt is not using this to delay the timing attack, but he is using this to slow down Casper from taking that third base.
Man, this matchup is so crazy. It's so much like a ZVP in a sense where, you know, it's like the big slow-moving army versus the very kind of inexpensive gateway army that's super mobile and harassing. We have two shuttles now flying into the main here. 4 zealots loaded up in one, double Reaver in the other. This is a huge powerful...
Oh, what an instant pickup there by Dewalt. That could have been disastrous. What a
that was
reaction.
So crazy good. Alrighty, 1 Reaver down already, looks like. And this has been pretty well dealt with. Honestly, very little damage in comparison to what could have been. We have Zealots still kind of being annoying, taking out turrets and things like that to make additional dropping easier. Looks like we're actually heading back into the middle line. No real SCVs here, super vulnerable. Looks like the natural expansion is pretty well vulnerable right now.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what I was trying to say. I was like, what is going on here? But man,
like the live's coming back. It's gonna make it harder now. Dewalt could retreat here and call it a day. I think he did enough here. He's really slowing down Casper. Oh, it looks like the Reaver drops. Unfortunately, I think all these SCVs are just clip damage, none taking the full brunt of the hit. But you can see Casper's SCV count actually dropped quite a bit, and he's not mining from his third. So that did a ton of damage. And even though he's only on 3 bases, look at the supply lead that he has currently.
That was quite a bigly drop there. Very impactful. But yeah, we've delayed the third a little bit here. The third, it has gotten up though, so we should be seeing Terran's economy spike a little bit more in the SCV count, especially now that we can get a bit more efficacy out of the mining here. But I'm actually pretty surprised at how effective that move out was and how easily we got the third, all things considered. Got a SCV up, of course, but getting on 3 bases is a pretty important milestone for Terran, as this is kind of like the base count that allows you to really start getting things done as a Terran and really massive and huge army.
Whoa. Looks like Casper's trying to move up, but Dewalt picking the perfect opportunity to counter. 1 Reaper here, 2 SCV shots, or 2 SCVs go down with 1 shot. And he's just keeping Casper occupied, and you can see Dewalt's going to follow us up with a bust. He's not taking a 4th base, so the fact that Casper is moving out here is like worst case scenario. He's moving out, only tanks, no support, shuttle dropping on the tanks, completely exposed.
Oh my gosh, the Zealot bombs
gets
do
cleaned
what
up.
they do. Look at this, all the tanks going down essentially for free. I mean, how many units even died here? It was like 3 Zealots for the entire tank army. What a decisive attack there. Dewalt playing all over the map, getting in the natural and in the main, and really just being super distracting during the big move out there. So an excellent job from Dewalt. Crazy good control, and man, did he make that look easy, dude. I gotta say, I'm a little worried for Mr. Grimeboss here. I mean, he looks good in the shades, but it's not looking so good in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was, I mean, very well executed play by Dewalt again, and like it from the very beginning too, just dealing with that FD cleanly, and then realizing no mines, instantly put on some pressure. Just very clean play by Dewalt.
Yeah,
and that's
it's
the kind
hard
of.
To be, I was gonna say it's really hard to be astounded by how well he does versus almost all the players in the front. There's like only so many people who can really stand up to his level of gameplay. I mean, we're seeing some pretty valiant attempts at stepping it up and trying to compete, but man, he is really showing why he's generally considered to be one of the best players in the foreign scene.
Yeah, and now we're gonna see if Casper, he does have the map choice. Let's see what he decides to pick, and if he could do a better job in game 2.
How do you feel about his builder choice in game number 1?
I think it was fine. It was just he forgot mines, and then Dewalt was able to just micro well, and that's why we don't see FD that often anymore. The level of micro with Dragoons has reached a level where it's not effective to go FD anymore. And the map is polypoid for Casper.
Polypoid, very standard choice. A lot of people are really enjoying this map as like kind of an alternative to like Fighting Spirit and all that. How do you feel about it in this matchup? I mean, I feel like the mineral only, of course, doesn't seem to play very much of a factor for Terran. It's probably a nice little base to kind of serve as a stopgap, but I mean, it's very limited minerals, no gas, so not an excellent base to take if you're really trying to play a 3-base like macro style. But for Protoss, it's not too bad. Always a couple of little extra minerals makes it for a lot more gateway production. So I don't know. I feel like it's a pretty nice map for the matchup, to be honest.
I think it's pretty good, pretty well balanced, and this map has a lot of high grounds where tanks can be more effective. There's also like the fact that every base being on a high ground makes it harder to attack. That's less a factor in this matchup. It's more a PvZ thing, but it's still gonna come into play.
All right. Well, looks like we are ready to go on into the next game. Here we go, Polypoid.
Right, in the bottom right, we have the blue Terran, Casper.
And in the top left-hand corner, we have the red Protoss, Dewalt. So being up one game, man, is it risky business time?
I think if you're Dewalt, you just play as safe as you can every single game, knowing that you're the superior player, and you just win. The longer the game goes, the better your odds are to win. Casper, I mean, Casper mixes it up in every matchup, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did something completely wild here.
Dude, we need to go deep 6. Is that what they call it? Deep 6? Or it's just like
Deep
bio?
6. Yeah, just bio.
I want to see it. I want to see it so bad.
Whoa, okay, we're gonna have something. This looks like 8 racks. I mean, 12 necks is something you see on this map. All right, let's see where he positions it. You should do it slightly off center because the center is gonna get scouted usually more often than not.
Dude, this is so ballsy, man. Down one game in the series, you're like, you know what? FD wasn't aggressive enough. It's time to make Marines.
No, this isn't BBS. It's only the one barracks. And he's actually mannering his own gas with that depot placement. I'm not sure what's going on here.
He doesn't need any gas, man. He's going to win with Marines. What are you talking about? We're not going to get that far, dude.
Right, so usually I've seen this 8 racks strat on maps where 12 necks is common, and also on reverse ramp maps, so you can get a bunker on top of the ramp. On a map like Polypoid, I'm not really sure what the plan is against non-12 necks openings.
This is actually ridiculous. So yeah, looking at the depot placement, I mean, there's no way that that's intentional, right? Like,
yeah, it's 1 hex to the right. Normal depot placement, just 1 further left. But let's see if it actually affects. And we have the first Marines in production, and Casper is gonna see the bad news. There's no 12 necks here.
just gonna walk up and find a zealot and just be like, okay, well, this didn't do anything. And now my Rax is in the middle. We've made a pretty huge economic sacrifice to get this barracks early as well, and we're not gonna do any damage, man.
Dewalt is gonna scout this pretty quickly. He's gonna see nothing in the main and see a gas. He's gonna wonder like, what is this? Now the Marines are gonna be out and they're gonna be able to put some pressure on. Dewalt didn't go for that zealot. I mean, you could go for that zealot or not, but what is like realistically Grimeboss able to accomplish here? Like a bunker on the low ground, maybe?
True. Yeah, I mean, he could prevent his opponent from, you know, oh my god, is he just gonna go for it in the main?
Okay, he's just going in vision. Dewalt sees it right away.
What a god! And we have the second SCV. Too bad 1,000 probes beats 2 SCVs and 3 Marines. Look at that! Oh, that was weird though. It looks like we had a little bit of a slow A move there out of the probe drill there.
Okay, but the SCV goes down, and the other SCV it's actually gonna be allowed to finish the bunker.
Oh, it's gonna finish.
All right, but the Dragoon's gonna block the ramp.
Yeah, he's just gonna stand on the ramp. He's running. Oh man, we had the Insane Bolt Marine. He just barely makes it in there.
All right, we do have a factory follow-up, but Casper has no units now, and he wasted 2 SCVs. The fact that his proxy lost no time, he made a bunker. He's just way behind here.
It's okay. We have an SCV in the main, dude. Those things are like ultraless, dude. 500 HP, 8 armor. Just running around. You're never gonna kill that. Oh, never mind. I lied. I was wrong. Sorry, guys.
All right, looks like look at this gas. What's going on here? Let's see. Is it actually mannered?
Yeah, it's super mannered. Look, they have to go like an extra hex.
They have to go an extra hex, and sometimes like every 3rd trip they go on the left side of the.
Yeah, they go wonky.
And we have the wall with a mannered pylon, just adding insult to injury here. Casper's trying to expand here. He's getting a tank, so he's going to be safe from these early Dragoons. But again, the ARAX completely didn't accomplish anything.
Yeah. Luckily for Grimeboss, he is playing against Protoss, and from what I know, all he really has to do to beat them is make Hydralisk, right? So if we can get to the Hydralisk stage, I think we're fine.
Yeah, I don't see any hatcheries in production quite yet. And the bunker is being pressured, so like everything's delayed for Casper because of the 8 racks. And this is 3 Dragoons. He's gonna have to repair. Oh, just running by, going for that tank. Actually, he's targeting the SCVs, and then it looks like he a little bit of indecision there.
Yo, could you imagine being the one Marine in this bunker? You got like your feet up on the desk, and all of a sudden 3 Dragoons come out of nowhere.
And there he goes, 3 Dragoons. 3 volleys kill that tank, and now he's gonna be able to keep on putting pressure on this bunker. And this is like the command center is building. You have to pull away from the command center to repair.
Oh, look at this. The command center is just a little metal square on the ground still. Like, what the heck? And then when you call for reinforcements, they bring 3 dudes who keeps talking about buttering your biscuits. It's like, come on, just give me a tank.
Right, the Casper has to be careful. We don't want a repeat scenario. It looks like one of the Dragoons is very low, so highly unlikely.
The SCV just goes out there, man. He doesn't care.
So a ton of damage done with just 3 Dragoons, and Dewalt is expanding behind this. Looks like Casper is playing blind. He's just going for that second factory right away. No academy, no eBay.
Oh, the bunker. Oh, we're just barely.
This is very good Dragoon control. The fact that none of the Dragoons have died quite yet.
Yeah, so excellently done, man. I mean, this is like, it almost looks like an accident that they get these Dragoons out with like 3 HP, but this is something that Dewalt has been doing for literally forever, man. He's one of the top Protosses in the foreign scene, and I mean, it looks so effortless. But you know, getting his Dragoon out with 3 HP, totally normal thing on, you know, that's like a Wednesday for Dewalt, dude.
Yeah, Dewalt's actually playing this super safe. He realizes he's ahead. You see how those Dragoons move out. He's scouting for proxy factories or starports, and you see he went 3 gateways after the robo, not 2, 3. He wants to be very safe and secure, even though his cross map means there's less likely for an attack to come pretty quickly. He's still going for that 3 gateway, not cutting any corners whatsoever, and it's gonna pay off because he's so far ahead here economically from delaying that expansion. Another pylon at the 3rd. It seems like just a staple play from Dewalt, something he likes to do.
So it looks like we have Casper with his upgrades going in the bottom right hand corner. We still only have the single academy here. I mean, he's got to know he's super far behind. What's the plan at this point? I mean, I know we have to go for some kind of timing attack, but what are we going to try to catch the third going up here when we don't have full production off of these 3 base economy? Like, what are you even trying to do at this point?
I mean, the fact that it's cross is going to make timings harder, and the fact that he's behind, like, you don't want to go for a timing attack when you're behind. I think he wants to extend the game here. He's going to lay mines to stop thirds, give him some vision. Looks like this third, at least he gets to see it.
Dude, it's kind of crazy watching this. I don't know if you know this, if you guys are paying attention, but Zero has more APM than most people playing StarCraft just observing, man. Look at this guy go. We're seeing... What a god. No, man. I mean, we get to see everything. The academy goes up, he instantly notices. What the heck? Look at this, man. Oh, it's so great. It's so great to be able to cast in a situation like this.
It looks like Casper's response to seeing that third is just getting his own third, but everything is slowed down. Like, the way I see this game going, Casper's going to try to set that up, and he's going to get busted right away.
Yeah,
and Dewalt on top of his scouting, Observer at the sees that third command center, and one going to the front to see any kind of move out. And again, he's going for a Reaver, and he's mixing in these Reaver plays. This is like a delayed Reaver strategy, and it's just working wonders in these games so far. Just getting a ton of damage done.
There's going to be so much territory that Casper's going to have to defend versus these Reavers too, especially once speed kicks on the shuttle, man. And he's not going to have very many units, because going for this third is going to delay him really being able to get a big enough army to defend all this. And by the time that he's, stopped the Reaver harass, there's going to be 5 million Dragoons outside his base.
And we saw Dewalt sees only 2 factories. The Observer did get sniped by a nice scan and Goliath utilization from Casper, but he saw only 2 factories. He's like, all right, I'll just take a 4th right away. There's nothing you can do.
Look at this Zero even catching the scan, gets to see that the Protoss shuttle's moving out, sees a couple of Zealots hopping in that shuttle there. So at least we get that early warning, Casper is going to have an idea that there is going to be a Reaver coming his way, and that is going to be pretty important in the defense here. Looks like we're still lifting the third off, though, anyways, to get over here and try to secure it. Dragoons are already over here kind of poking away at this Vulture. We're getting mines set up and tanks on the high ground, so this can be a little bit difficult of a bust, but we're going to have a Reaver and 2 Zealots assisting with this. So, I mean, I'm very scared right now. This is going to be a make or break it moment here right now for Casper.
All right, I like the repositioning of the bunker to use it to provide the Marines with some extra light, but again, he's spread so thin between these 3 bases now in the wall with the speed shuttle just being able to harass, and that's it. That was the quickest non-GG. The game just ended. Yeah. 1 shuttle.
I mean, there was a Vulture with no mines in the main versus a Reaver and 2 Zealots, man. I mean, you're just gonna lose all your infrastructure there. I think it's a very well timed GG, kind of saving a little bit of your energy at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that means Casper is going to go into the next match, and Dewalt advances into the quarterfinals. He's our first player to advance. Not surprising to see Dewalt advance first from this group.
Yeah, excellently played, man. I think that was the result I think most people were expecting. But you gotta put it in there, man. Getting all the way into this tournament, you can't just give it up. So well played by Grimeboss here. Casper looking still very good, but I think that this was certainly going to be the expectation since we saw the matchup here. So another quick 2-0, man. Going to be heading on to the next the next match in just a moment.
It isn't so much that he won, it's how he won. Those are 4 decisive victories for Dewalt. And yeah, well, Grimeboss still has a chance to get out of this group. He's gonna await the next match. In the meantime, we're gonna jump into the winners match of Group B. It's gonna be eOnzErG against Terran. Now that's gonna be a very fun matchup.
Yeah, I think both of these players come from the. I don't want to. It's gonna sound a little weird, but I feel like South America has a very aggressive culture about how they play StarCraft. You have a lot of players who are just really killer instinct type players down there. And I'm sure that Terra versus eOn's going to be really action-packed, very back and forth, lots of fighting. Really looking forward to seeing what especially Terra brings to the table here, because eOnzErG is, at least in my opinion, very straightforward with his build orders, just very, very clean execution, whereas Terra is not afraid to change it up and does sometimes go for some weird stuff.
Yeah, I should clarify, eOnzErG is not at all in the South American community. Like, he lives in Belgium and he's originally from Cuba, but Cuba, nothing to do with South America.
That's true.
Yeah, but Terra, like you said, really mixes it up. His TVZ, he goes for everything basically, from mech, from timing attacks with mech 2-1, 1-1-1, bio, all kinds of plays really. 8 racks. Wouldn't be surprised to see everything being thrown here. eOn, on the other hand, pretty confident we're gonna see 2-heads Muta.
Yeah, and that is his bread and butter, man. He's got some of the cleanest Muta control in the foreign scene. It is terrifying to see what he can do with them. But yeah, again, you know, Terra is my personal favorite Terran to watch compete. You know, some people, you know, consider him to be one of the best players in the foreign scene as well, especially as far as Terrans go. But in my opinion, he's got the most creative, active playstyle. And it is always just a treat to watch him do stuff with his vultures and all that.
All right, I think we're ready to head into this match.
Dude, let's do it, man. This is the match that I wanted to cast, so I'm super excited.
They did face last time in RCG. They had that ridiculous tiebreaker with Koget where eOn kept beating Terra kept beating Koget, and Koget kept beating eOn. And it just went over and over, like it just kept going on and on and on and on.
Man, it's sad to see.
All right,
it's so sad to see this NAS on NAS violence, man. You know, can't we just get along, dude?
People are asking about the prize pool. The prize pool, where the goal is to get to 15,000. If we do that, then we will get another season of this event next year, I should say.
Yeah, it looks like we're at 12,120 at the match arena right now, guys. Every little bit helps. Not everyone can do the gigantic $500 donations that we've been seeing on the match arena, but we really would appreciate it if you guys dig deep and see if you can put a little towards it. Because honestly, our RCG is like the big crazy tournament that everyone is super hyped to play in. Everyone practices super hard for, of course, and there's also obviously BSL and STPL and all these things. But man, if RCG goes away, that would be no fun, man. I can't wait to get another LAN going once the pandemic is over and everything like that. So I hope you guys can help support if you can. Of course, you know, don't put yourself out if you can't afford to, but if you can, we'd really appreciate donations over on the match arena there.
All right, guys. Go into that random map draw. Let's see what we end up with. Again, all the first maps are randomly drawn, and from there we go into loser's pick. And looks like we have Fighting Spirit.
Everybody's favorite map. I do have to say, it's kind of not fair that we just have beautiful people picking on the maps. I feel like we should get some ugly dudes over there too, like me. You know what I mean? Like I should just, you know, I'll just pick up a nasty old hat that I've been wearing for like 3 years, and you know, we'll put it on some socks or whatever, and just, you know, I feel like we could do that. We gotta get representation. You know what I mean?
I think we have enough representation in the cast. We don't need more elsewhere.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to head on into Fighting Spirit. I don't think very much needs to be said about this map. Everyone knows it. Let's go ahead and hop right on in.
All right, so we have Terra spawning as the helping out here. I want to say this is purple Terran in the top right.
Alrighty, guys, and in the top left-hand corner, spawning as the beautiful emerald green forest Zerg, we have eOnzErG.
All right, TVZ on Fighting Spirit. This is like the classic matchup. Classic map, classic matchup.
Dude, give me a gut call. Who wins right now?
Eon. I'm gonna say Eon.
Oh, I hope so. I don't know if I hope so. I love both these players too much. It's really hard to hope so, but I really love this matchup, man. Especially now that everyone has decided that it's like there's like an official handshake between everyone that 2-hatch is the way to play, because 2-hatch Muta is the most exciting build order in the entire game in my estimation, dude. I love seeing Mutas fight Marines in the middle of the map and having it be just like on the edge of a knife, you know, getting that third up and getting your lurkers on time and everything like that. So excited to see what's going to happen in this match.
All right, 9 pool for Eon. So already something aggressive. Is this going to be 9 pool gas or is this just a gas trick? Let's see. Oh, okay, just a gas trick. All right, so this isn't that all in. You get this extra drone so you can scout and keep 9 on minerals. This way you confirm the Terran's positions right away so you can send those 6 slings, don't have to guess. And you maximize your mineral income by having 9, 1 per patch.
One day I'll be good enough to do this build intentionally instead of just forgetting my first overlord every time and being forced to make a pool because I'm not getting my OB on time. Oh man. But this is a very bold move, but unfortunately for eOnzErG, we have the SCV coming in over here to the main. We're gonna see exactly what's going on at pretty much the earliest possible moment. So Terra's gonna have plenty of time to set up SCVs on his ramp, get his Marines.
Wait, whoa! Did he not? I think he saw the creep, but he didn't realize it was there. And he's actually just leaving. He didn't see, like, you can see the creep on the minimap, but this is something that won't register on the minimap. You have to actually visually look at it. Oh my
god, he's going to bottom left. He had it in the bag. We're gonna have nothing on the ramp as the Zerglings come across the map here to do their damage, and we're just gonna have a dead Marine right on the. Oh my god, this is so crazy. This is the absolute best thing that could have happened to eOnzErG. Getting first scouted, but then not is
yeah, now Terra's gonna see 6 slings. Where did they come from? He's wondering. He doesn't make that command center right away. He's already pulling SCV, so his reaction is on point, but the Lings are already up the ramp. He's gonna have to drill things on top of the Marines. These things don't have to do critical damage. He already has an expansion on the way. Just killing the Marines is damage enough.
Yeah, we've already delayed the CC a ton. We've stopped tons of mining here. And while this was excellent SCV control by Terra, as you can see, he knows. My gosh, he already knows he's taking a ton of damage. Oh my gosh, this has got to feel so bad.
Cancel depot. Now Terra doesn't know actually if this is 9 pool speed, but he should realize that now. Looks like we had a rally there that's kind of hurting Eon.
SCV comes in here, sees the natural expansion, should get in here and see that there aren't any more Lings on the way. So we should see these SCVs go back to work in just a minute here, and a CC going down maybe on the high ground in a minute.
All right, so we had one mistake there from Eon. After killing the Marines, he actually fought the SCV straight up, and that's an just an overconfident thing to do, to think 6 Lings, or I think it was 5 Lings, can beat what was like 8 SCVs. And while he was able to kill a few, I think it would have been better if he kept those Lings around and just like danced around and sniped Marines here and there. Yeah. Now Terra, as you can see, just sets up his natural. I think Eon is still ahead though, like getting 2 Marines and delaying the mining from Terra, delaying the expansion.
Yeah, certainly. This is still a very good recovery though. This could have been, as you said, a lot worse if the Lings were just being annoying. They could still be there. We could have gotten more Marines. We could have delayed the CC way longer. But instead, we're actually placing the CC on the low ground and getting in a pretty reasonable amount of time, considering the economic commitment that a 9 pool is as well. And things are, I think, going to be very defensible as we head towards the mid game with the Muta. Now, it looks like eOnzErG has gone for a pretty significant amount of Zerglings in this portion of the game, and with that speed, we're looking to cut down on the Marine count before the Mutas come in here to allow them to do more damage as they come in with their low numbers, like the 6 for your first pop there. So if this Ling attack is successful, it could spell some serious danger going in the mid game here for Terra, as he only has 2 barracks to produce units out of.
But Terra is very well prepared. He has a depot to provide some kind of block at the front. He already made the bunker and he's pulling SCVs, like plugging the holes. He knows that was a lot of Lings. He has to prepare. He doesn't want to take any more damage. That'll slow him down before these Mutas hit.
Yeah, this is actually gorgeous defense here. As you said, that that depot provides a lot of places to block wings to get from getting a full surround on the bunker, so there's no way that they can really bust that front. Of course, the link's still going to provide some utility, as they're going to provide a little bit of a meat shield for the mutas as they first come in here. But you know, I think Terror is in a good position to defend the initial Mutalisk attack here, and if he doesn't move out for a little bit and just builds up his little 2-Rax army for that big push out once he has Stim in range, it's going to be looking very nice.
Still a little bit scary. His turret timing, I think it's just a few seconds late. Let's see if it actually gets up on time. The fact that Eon spawn at the closest position to Terra's natural is going to make it so that these turrets have to be on point. It's going to be very hard to defend if these turrets don't get up. But it looks like he is going to be able to just barely get those up in time.
Yeah, it looks like especially that top one is going to be finished by the time the Mutalisks arrive. Now, the bottom two are still going to be building when they get here. But this should be enough, especially with the Marines in the natural expansion, to at least stall for enough time that the mutas are not really going to be able to get too much done in their initial attack here. You really have to wait for 8 mutas before you start diving those turrets.
But you see Eon or Terror made those turrets at the natural first for that very reason. The mutas get there first, but this is enough mutas, and with the links running by, the bunker only has a couple Marines in it. This is a moment of vulnerability here for Terror. Only 1 turret protecting the barracks. The muta count is growing. We're down to 5 because we took an engagement there, but the Marine count is very, very low here.
Dude, eOnzErG is legitimately terrifying. His initial 6 Mutalisks got like so many kills on these Marines here, and now that the Zerglings are up here in the main base, I mean, like, look at this. This is such a tense situation right now.
Terror realizing this, and you can see the fact he only has 1 turret here. These barracks are very exposed, and with the link supporting, look how easily these Marines are getting cleaned up. Eon just ignoring the turret fire. Turret doesn't have that much DPS, just killing the Marines. And it's only 2 barrack production, so it's going to be very hard for Terror to recover from this point.
Oh my gosh, and now with, you know, no turrets on the top side of these barracks here, you know, Terror is going to be in a really tough position, not able to get any Marines out of his barracks here as they spawn. They're initially just going to get picked off. And we have more and more Mutalisks coming in here. We're, you know, just going to be constantly producing. Yeah, this is so crazy. Turret's gone down now. We're not going to be able to produce any more Marines. This is insane. Second turret about to go down now. Oh my gosh, this
Barracks
is
completely exposed. No Marines out. Only a couple medics. Turrets getting picked off easily. One thing to note is you look at Eon's drone count. He only has 16 drones, but with 10 on minerals and 6 on gas, that is perfect saturation for non-stop muta production from 2 hatch.
Dude, we can just hold position in front of these barracks and it is all over. Are you kidding me? eOnzErG with such a clean 2-hatch Mutalisk just cuts Terror's throat instantly. Man.
That was very nice, very well executed. That ling run by, you can see the amount of panic Terror had once he realized that happened. He had to pull everything, and he could never establish those turrets above the ramp. And with that, eventually just snowballed into an easy Eon victory.
That was so crazy. Could you imagine if there was just an SCV sitting in between that barracks and that depot? This whole game goes completely different. The Lings get nothing done. They get stopped right at the bunker. And then the mutas just do minimal damage in the beginning. I mean, obviously, you know, he's got great Mutalisk control, man. eOnzErG looks so scary. The mutas get in there and got a bunch of kills just by themselves, but the Zerglings really made the difference there. And I mean, wow, astounding control there.
Yeah, that was very, 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 I mean, that's just Eon's comfort zone. You could tell, like, from the very beginning with the aggression, with the 9 pull.
Yeah, I just imagine eOnzErG, like, if we were to interview him right now, she'd be like, wow, Ian, what made you think of that? And he was like, oh, I just killed him. What do you mean? Like, this is just every day for me. I just kill Terrans. What are you talking about? And he's so cool too, man. He's got so much confidence. I'm sure that's exactly what he'd say, because I mean, like, that is classic eOnzErG 2-hatch muta right there.
Now with that, now Terra's gonna have the map choice. He's gonna pick map 2, and he chooses Eclipse 2-player map. And this
I think
matchup,
this is a pretty good choice.
Yeah, is Terra gonna go mech? Because Terra likes to mix in mech, but I don't think mech is the best. Actually, against Eon, mech might be the best choice. We've seen him struggle against mech in various tournaments. But this is a good map for Terra to pick.
Yeah, well, especially too, you know, in this map, it's gonna be really hard for Terror to miss the first scout there on the hatchery.
Yeah, I almost forgot. That was almost a game-defining moment.
So tragic, dude. I mean, honestly, obviously it made a bit of a difference there, but like, it ended up being held pretty well. But could you imagine like just dying to that? Oh man, that'd be such a tilting thing to start a series with.
All right, it looks like we're ready to go into game 2 with the eOnzErG up 1-0. All right, I'm gonna say this is Terra in the top right as the purple Terran.
And in the bottom left-hand corner, spawning as once again the beautiful green Zerg, we have eOnzErG. Alrighty, man. Eclipse. Of course, honestly, the map is not going to really change too much of what we see with the build orders here. Unlikely to see a 9-pool this time, as going to be super easily scouted. But does anyone do anything other than 2-hatch Muta anymore?
I don't think so. I mean, we saw Bakuryu. Yeah. But Bakuryu is set in stone that his build is the one he's going to do no matter. We have Terra moving out, and he's going to wall his natural. And I think that's why he chose this map, because you can wall your natural at both spawns pretty well. We have Eon going for the gas first. This is going to be another gas trick from eOnzErG. But I don't think this is going to be for a 9-pool, because you see he made it before the pool, not after. So he's just going to go scout with that extra drone. This is something you see on 2-player maps. Sometimes Terran can do obnoxious things like eBay block your natural.
That is so annoying, by the way. Just for anybody who's out there sending workers to a Zerg's natural expansion, I just want you to know that actually makes you an objectively worse person just based on your character. So if you could all do me a favor and stop blocking my hatchery, that'd be spectacular. Really appreciate that. Thanks. That's my PSA, by the way.
Getting here and sees the wall, so already enough information with this worker. Looks like he's gonna try to block the wall, maybe scare Terra a little bit. And we actually have gas before pool, so interesting. And we're still harassing. One drone can beat the SCV. Drone does have more range, and it also has the ability to recover health.
Yeah, with the awesome patrol micro, you can just like kite an SCV for forever if you're a literal super god at worker micro. Of course, this isn't a probe, so it's not going to be able to get 30 kills, but still, drone, very good unit.
All right, what you were saying about 2-hatch is the fact that pretty much everyone does 2-hatch, but Eon, before 2-hatch became meta, was already just going 2-hatch every game. So he's had a lot of experience with this build. Looks like this wall isn't complete. There might be a gap between the egg and the top depot.
Let's see. It's like Marine. Yeah, Marine gonna plug that hole down. But I mean, I don't know. Do we expect to see? We did see that this was gas before pool, so we are going to expect to see a decent number of Zerglings be created here. The whole intention of getting the gas first is, of course, to get be able to get your layer and your speed first. I'm pretty sure that's what we saw. Am I correct?
Yeah, he had almost 200 gas when the layer started, so he immediately got speed right away as well.
Yeah, so we should be seeing a number of Zerglings be created in this early portion of the game. I think that's a pretty interesting choice to go for build order wise, just due to the fact that, of course, we have the wall there. But even still, getting those early speedlings allows you to, again, cut down on those Marines before the mutas come out. And that, again, can just spell, doom for your opponent if your wings run past the wall there and kill all the Marines.
No, with Terra plugging it, it's unlikely we're going to see that. We did see Terra go for eBay, and now he's getting an Academy. He is up against 2-hatch, so he's going to need to prioritize getting those Academy upgrades. Last thing you want to do is face mutas without stim on your Marines. And you definitely want to get range as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's actually ridiculous how badly mutas beat Marines without their Academy upgrades. You can kill like infinite Marines, especially when they have no range. It's just free, completely free. You barely take any damage at all on your mutas. So But you know, we're likely going to be seeing, you know, the classic two barracks academy build here, where you get the nice little move out of Marines that the Zerg has to deal with, and we'll have to see where it goes from here. I'm looking forward to seeing when we start taking our third base here and when the fighting starts.
All right, Eon made. Well, we had a rally drone here. This is he's gonna hatchery. He's gonna plant a couple hatcheries in front of Terran's base.
Oh no, this is a classic. Is he gonna Is he gonna drone drill the? Oh man, is he gonna try to bust this with drones?
No, unlikely. You would need so many more drones.
Yeah, you need
the fact that the gap is like super tight.
I've just seen Eon do so many crazy things. Like when he does that versus Zealots and ZVP, and then just forces the Zealots out of the wall and just kills people with his slings. He is not afraid to use drones, man.
Okay, Terra getting that scan on, sees his fire timing. And I want to note, Eon's third positioning. On this map, you actually don't take the closer third with in ZVT. Reason for that is because you want the Terran to choose between the two bases, and that way you can choose where to defend more effectively. Because if you take the closer third, then Terran can attack both bases at the same time. Basically, the land distance is very small. Eon getting +1 Terra base, so this is going to be a very committed Muta mid game. And with 2 hats, that's pretty normal. You use the Mutas to give you map control.
Yeah, and actually a pretty interesting build order choice. Looks like we're going for 4 racks instead, so we're going to see a slower tech overall out of Terra, but way more bio units as the game moves on into the mid game here. I mean, I feel like this doesn't match up quite as well as 2 racks Academy does versus 2 hatch Muta. I don't know how you feel about it, but I certainly feel like this is the more difficult route for the Terran player to decide to take.
I mean, I think Terra's choice, due to the fact that he got overrun last game, he loses a medic right away. That's pretty bad. That's pretty painful. Like, you see Terra is gonna go 4 barracks, and he's gonna rely on Marines to give him some kind of play. Like, if you stay on 2 barracks only, the Ling Muta counterattacks become very, very hard to deal with. You see him lifting off that barracks, and this is important so his Marines have freedom of movement here. Only 6 Mutas here, nice stim, and one of the Mutas almost goes down.
Yeah, very nicely done, and uncharacteristically, eOnzErG fails to fire off a glaive there, so the Mutas take a bunch of damage for essentially free. But look at that, man. eOnzErG finds, like, you have 1 Marine out in front of your army for like half a second, he just instantly turns around and kills it. This is a cute little pickoff. Could be a little disruptive if we get this Overlord here. It looks like the Marine's not going to be able to find that, though. We do, remember, have a lot of Zerglings down here to the south, ready to run in once our Mutalisk count gets a little bit higher.
Hydra then at the third base. This is a staple of eOnzErG's play. He always hides that tech, doesn't want to reveal to the Terran when the switch is coming.
Yeah, this is a very, very fast switch over to Lurkers too. I think this is obviously an excellent response to the fact that we're going for such a large number of barracks. Going to be a very overwhelming number of Marines on the way here, so not something that you can rely on Mutalisk to stop for a very long period of time. But the Marines are already very close to getting the danger zone. Oh my god, and we're losing so many Mutas.
Okay, so something happened there. Eon was moving the Mutas instead of controlling them, because I think he was preparing this as soon as Terra moves out. But what does Eon actually have back at home? This counter is doing damage. We have 5 Sunkens, and this is the appropriate response. But Terra is stimming in way across the map. Only 1 Sunken is complete. Is eOnzErG going to have enough time to get these other Sunkens up? Lurkers aren't going to be in time, and looks like a well-timed stim by Terra. Now with the medics arriving, these Marines are never going to die.
Oh man, just a tiny mistake here. This was really telling the story of ZVT, man. Both players constantly on a nice edge between losing and winning, and we have an excellent game here, very well capitalized on, and Terra walks away with a win in that one.
That was close, because if Eon has those 5 Sunkens up, I mean, he's not going to win, but he's in a much better position with that counter, getting some damage done. But I mean, 5 Sunkens is the appropriate response if your Mutas aren't going to be there to defend. But Terra, very quickly just countering with stim, realizing, okay, this is my moment, and job well done, and he ties it up 1-1.
That's so crazy, man. This is the reason why everyone loves ZVT so much. It's like literally a matter of seconds. If Terra doesn't just go, if he doesn't just stim across the map, and if he gives eOnzErG 10 seconds of time, he doesn't bust that natural expansion. The game doesn't end there, and we go on to a completely different game. I mean, this is what I'm talking about being on the knife's edge all the time. 2-Hatch Muta is the most exciting build order in my opinion. ZVT being the most exciting matchup in my opinion. It's so much fun to watch these guys just play a game of inches as we're just bouncing like just a couple of seconds changes the game entirely. So much fun to watch, dude.
Yeah, that was very close, but very just well done by Terra, seizing the moment, taking opportunity that was presented to him, and we're at 101, and we're gonna go into a third match.
Yeah, man, these guys are just got the killer instinct. I'm so excited to see this third match.
Two NAS players here. I can tell you they've played a ton, and I think it's slightly Eon favored overall. Like, I want to say something like 60-40. And the map is Sylphid.
Ooh, I like Sylphid, especially for this matchup.
This is Eon's choice. But on this map, I've seen Terra go mech a lot.
What do you think encourages mech about this map?
That easy to defend third base. That's just like right in front of your natural.
Yeah. Very strong, and then you just power up to an unstoppable army.
Yeah, don't necessarily need to go for timing. Can go for 2-1 mech where you just get upgrades and then move out later, or move out never. Basically, if you don't see queens, then that's also a play.
Mech is so interesting too, because everyone I talk to is always like, oh yeah, mech is a free win as a Zerg, but then I see people get crushed by it left and right. It seems like everyone has a theory about how you're supposed to beat it, and everyone decides to do it differently. I love to see the queen route though, man. I love seeing broodlings just killing tanks left and right. But I'd love to see some mech, man. I'm really excited to see this.
All right, let's go. I think we're ready. And here we are. We have Terra spawning in the 12 o'clock spawn as the purple Terran.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, spawning as the green Zerg. Once again, man, we have the consistent colors today. We have eOnzErG.
All right, Eon's it's gonna get that first scout initially with this Overlord, and that's pretty important. Getting your Overlord to the Terran's natural is extremely vital. It gives you a ton of information. You can see where in their command center timing, if they're moving out, how many SCVs they have. It gives you a lot of information, so that's very important. And then Terror really likes to mix it up. We've already seen a want a natural. We did, unfortunately, like that first game, we didn't see what his follow-up plan was to the 2 racks. But he has gone for something very similar both games.
Man, there are so many people rooting for Terra in the chat. What do you guys have against eOnzErG, man? It's so mean. Are there no Zerg fans?
I think Terra's just a popular streamer. I think he got gifted something like 580 subs yesterday or something.
What?
Yeah,
By
something
who?
like that. I don't know. I just heard. I heard the news.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, dude. Terra is like mega sweetheart. I love that guy. Like, just as a person, he's a great dude. So I mean, if you have been overcome by a love for Terra, dude, why don't you also go give 580 subs? Dude, who is Jason? Dude, do you have any idea? 580 subs in Peru? Oh my god, that's so much money. Could you imagine?
And here we have 2 hats again from eOnzErG. No surprise at all. And Terra not going for mech.
Aw, bummer.
No, Terra this time is going to go all the way in. He's going to see. He's not just going to leave before confirming. And Eon, very, I guess he's just drone scouting. He's going all the way in. You saw that? He went all the way to confirm if there was a gas or not.
Oh, dude, the chat is telling us. Dude, the chat is against Eon after he flamed Gypsy. Yeah, it's true. You got to protect him, man. Gypsy is a precious man. You know, we have to make sure that everyone treats him with love and respect.
And Terra taking that expansion. Everything's normal now. It's going to be likely a repeat with 2 racks against 2 Hatch Muta. I mean, Eon has his fans too. Where are the Eon fans at? Or just none? We have no Eon fans left.
Dude, Artos is in the chat saying how it's a rite of passage. Every new commentator needs to get flamed by people. Dude, do you know what people used to say about me? They called me the discount Rifkin. That feels so bad, man. I can't believe it. It's so rude. That was like the saddest day of my life when I heard someone call me that.
Okay, they're saying there's not that many Terrans. That's why they got to root for Terra. That is true. I mean, there's still Dandy and Koget, but that is true.
Alrighty, man. So I like 2 Hatch Muta a lot on this map. I think the back of the natural there is really nice to be able to harass. I'm really looking forward to seeing. I feel like this is going to be a difficult map for Terra to win, honestly.
Terra trying to get that rescout in. Looks like he might be able to get in. It's very low HP, this SCV, but no block.
Oh, and he gets it. Dude, could you imagine if this was the game that eOnzErG was like, we're gonna go to Hatch Lurker and bust this natural? Because, dude, this is a great position actually to bust a natural with a 2 Hatch Lurker, and it's something that we almost never see. No one ever expects it.
All right, Terra playing super safe again with the depot wall and getting a bunker as soon as that SCV dies. Not taking any risk against eOnzErG.
So
smart, the Link's trying to get in, not able to get anything done there, but sees the bunker. And we're working up on our drone count. It's not going to be the 16 drone attack. He's at 21. This is the same as the last game, so standard. He's going to set up that third base. And on this map, that's a very good third base. Like, a lot of times you see the Zergs take another main, but that's not necessary at all with 2 Hatch Muta. You have a lot of map control. And then you could take that 4th gas later. Tyler Byron is at Type 2. Type 2 didn't participate. Like, he qualified, but then he pulled out of the tournament.
Oh man, I really wanted to make a pull-out joke there.
Right? Here's the first bio move. We have, it looks like 11 Marines and 2 medics. This is normal. Eon won't need what's it called, Sunkens to defend this attack because he's gonna have mutas. These Marines won't have range. So even if Terra waltzes across the map, most Zergs are confident enough in their muta control that they can defend this kind of attack without Sunken.
Yeah, and look at this. Terra just faking a move out here to make sure that we are scaring our Zerg player into making a move here, but deciding to walk across the map. Oh, look at this, though. We have the cheekiest move out. 2 Firebats coming across the map to toast themselves some drones here. And with all the Marines here in the natural, eOnzErG is highly unlikely to see this coming. Oh my god. Here we go.
Yeah, this is basically what comes out of these eggs, and is it going to be in time? Looks like Terra steaming. Both Firebats staying here at the natural, just getting some shots off. Oh, looks like 2 drones go down right away. Looks like a third. Decent reaction from eOnzErG. 4 drones go down. Where are the mutas? Taking
we got like these are like two pit masters from that Netflix barbecue show, man. This is like Big Worm and Slim over here just toasting up some drone steaks here. Man, that's huge. 2 Hatch Muta, especially with a commitment to early links, is so slim on the margins there with the drone count. Just getting a couple of drones there has been very disruptive.
Yeah, that's a ton of damage, because now you consider the fact that Eon is down, what, 5 drones? He does have this third, like, already getting saturated, but this is going to be less mutas, and it's going to give Terra more freedom. You see Terra hasn't taken any economic damage at all. These mutas have been occupied, and there's not going to be much support for them, at least for another minute or so as Eon wants to drone up.
Dude, this is so good, man. This is why I love watching Terra so much. He makes 2 Firebats and just runs them across their map. He's like, hey, Firebats.
Yeah, you see the path they took to avoid getting scouted. That's actually very important.
Yeah, he's so smart and so creative. Like, he does this in all the matchups with all the units. He's just trying to get as much done as possible. It's so exciting to watch him play. He's just so smart, dude.
All right, depot there getting picked off. That usually happens. That depot kind of hard to defend, and it's really only utilized early game against Lings. So not the worst thing in the world, but he is supply block now. And he's taking up from 3 barracks, so he's gonna get that faster tech.
All right, but I mean, the 2-hatch Muta has done its job. We've delayed any kind of push out for quite a long time. We're getting our drones up now. We're getting our 3rd gas, getting on the hive tech as well. We have to get lurkers out eventually in order to defend our natural and 3rd base here. But that looks like it's all going to be, on very good timing. And so there isn't going to be an opportunity, of course, to get the 3rd busted or anything like that. That is exactly what you want with this whole build here. The whole idea is just to take the tempo and put it in the Zerg's hands with this build. And it looks like we have accomplished that very thoroughly.
Terra scans that hive, and one thing to note is Eon went for +1 weapons this time, didn't go for care base.
+1 weapons is an interesting choice. Generally, that indicates that you're going to be trying to go for some sort of really all-in Muta attack here, because it does lower the amount of Mutas that you need to 2-shot or to hold position against Marines or 2-shot turrets. So, kind of interesting because it's been so passive so far. Looks like Eon finally taking an opportunity to start diving on in here, but this is pretty well defended so far. But this is kind of what I said. I just think this is such a great base to harass with Mutalisks. This is kind of why I said it's so difficult for Terran on Sylph to defend their natural expansion. We do have our starports coming up though, and we're making Valkyries. So Kix is just creaming his pants right now. This is his favorite unit, dude. Looking to see how much damage these guys do. Even just a couple of volleys on the Mutalisks can change the game here.
Yeah,
but
the fact that Eon
vulnerable.
doesn't have any information on this, he doesn't know this is coming. And +1 weapons is significantly worse against Valkyries. The Mutas, you really want Carapace to tank some extra Valkyrie missiles. But the fact that Terror was only on 3 barracks, he's been pinned in his base for quite a long time, and we already have lurkers out. And these aren't defensive lurkers. Eon's going to be able to position them. I think these were going to be stop lurkers, but I think Terror did manage to, his vision clipped one of the lurkers, so he knows they're there.
Yeah, this is really rough too. When you go for the Valkyries too, you're just delaying that Science Vessel attack by so much. These lurkers are going to be sitting out here. You're going to be relying on scans to get vision of them. You don't have any irradiates to start working on their health. And with the factory floating, we don't have any tanks on the way, so these lurkers are just going to be a permanent installation outside the natural expansion for quite a long time.
Yeah, I don't think Terra realizes there are lurkers here. He's moving
Are they
out.
hold position?
These are definitely hold position lurkers.
Oh my god.
Oh! Wait
no!
for it, wait! Oh!
Oh my god! Well,
Terra's dead.
do you guys want to just put your right hand up in the air right now and just do a really slow wave as we wave goodbye to Terror's hopes and
Look at
dreams
that
for this
11
game?
kill lurker.
Oh my god, and we have Valkyries potentially getting scourged out of the air too? Oh wow.
Something
Actually,
with the
sick
targeting
micro.
one. But yeah, 11 kill lurker on that front one. That was so many. And the fact the factory is floating on top of the fact that the vessels are delayed because we have Valkyries, this is a disaster for Terra here.
Someone in the chat saying that should literally be illegal. I kind of agree, but at the same time, this is I feel like this is justice for all the times that I've died to a double dropship. You know what I mean? That's what I like to see, man. Oh my god, Terror is running past all the lurkers. Is there any defense? It looks like we have a couple of Lings here in the natural expansion. Of course, the Mute is going to be able to potential help with that, but we do have Valks on the way as well, so going to be very difficult to defend this with just Mutalisks.
Alright, it's only 1 medic, but this is a big threat here. We don't have Swarm yet.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, there's the Swarm just in time. And
oh my
it's gonna
gosh,
get
that
cleaned
was
up.
so
We still have the
close to
Valkyries
being-
alive, but only Valkyries out on the map. Terra can't put on a ton of pressure here. Really needs those vessels, but he has what, 11, 12 lurkers at his front, completely contained. Where's the factory? You don't even want to make tanks against Zerg.
Yeah,
but if you're
that's essentially infinity lurkers now at this point. And now that we have defilers coming across the map and no way to deal with them, this is one heck of a dead Terran, man.
he has 3 bunkers, but what good are bunkers against Swarm?
Hilariously though, these are just the world's most exposed overlords. Alrighty.
And here we go.
Well,
Swarm on the lurkers. There's no fire bats here. There's literally 0 damage being done to these.
how many fire bats would you even need? You need 600 fire bats versus that many lurkers, dude.
I mean, fire bats do get the range boost from being in a bunker, but it's not enough. It's just not enough. And
That was crazy.
Path, man. That's literally illegal.
I think he was traumatized from his early youth, being a fat kid, just being bullied all the time. So every time he goes to the beach, he wears a shirt now.
Dude, what if he just has really big nipples? Like they're just like a third of his chest, each one. he's just got enough bare skin in the middle for one nipple.
It looks like Eon is gonna advance first from this group. Very nice play. Like sick stop lurker attack. And that means Terror. Well, he still has a shot. We're gonna see Trutacz against Gosudark. He's gonna play against the winner of that. But Eon looked very strong there. I did pick him, right? I picked him to win against Terror.
You did. Dude, I asked him for the gut shot and he called it right away. It's a little scary. Not gonna lie. I'm a little worried. Did you like rub your head and just like get like the 8-ball going and just came up with the answer?
No, I just know from seeing them play, like Eon slightly favored.
Yeah, that was really, really
people
well
are
played.
mentioning let's ignore the grew up.
What?
Look at the groups.
Oh no.
Grew up.
You guys just don't know. We're changing the spelling meta, bro. No, it's intentional. All you guys are in the chat. Look, you typoed now. That's 100% intentional. You guys just aren't smart enough to get it. It's going way over your head, okay? Just calm down, all right? We got like 3 big brain people in the chat who knows what's going on. The Grew Ops, bro. It's all about the Grew Ops.
We see Eon in the quarterfinals. He's gonna join Dewalt already there. And that's our 2 winners match. So next we're gonna go into the elimination matches, but I think we're gonna take a break before then.
Just in time for me to get some breakfast.
Yeah, for those of you wondering, it's currently what, 6:47 a.m. for Doc.
Yeah.
So woke up early for this. Or
I
woke up
tuned in
early.
at
Woke up
3 in
early.
the morning, dude. I didn't wake up early, man. I just stayed up hella late. Oh man, I was playing video games. I was like, it's midnight and I have to cast at 4 in the morning. So I've been drinking, like, this is my second one of these big monsters. So if you hear me go in the middle of the cast, it's because I died of a heart attack. So yeah, I leave all my computers and stuff to 80s mullet. All right, guys.
All right.
Well, we will be back. What is it, 30 minutes or so, with the elimination matches after this, guys. It will be me and Ziggy casting for you guys, and then we'll be rotating in Seriosity towards the end of the stream as well. So thank you guys all for tuning in. We'll see you in a little bit here.
All right, see you guys soon.
We do down Johannesburg way. Butter is the name of a dance.